girl merely gently waved her psychic vine, and could make nobles across the entire star system go crazy for her. Yet the girl was completely unaware of the reason for their madness, still secretly waving her vine around, probing everywhere, stealthily absorbing nutrients from other psychic entities to level up. Unaware that each time her vine absorbed energy, the other psychic entity would become more addicted to her, gradually unable to extricate themselves, ultimately having no choice but to acknowledge her as their master. And at this time, Lin Wan, who had successively caused nobles to publicly lose their minds, was summoned to the Academic Affairs Office by the school administration. "Student Lin, can you tell me the reason why your practical course grades have been 0 for the 2 years since enrollment?" Academic Director Hudson stared intently at Lin Wan. Lin Wan pressed her lips tightly together, but didn't know how to answer this question. She was just an ordinary office worker, who woke up one day to find herself in the world 500 years later. Although it took a long time to digest the original host's memories, even now, she still couldn't quite accept the setup of having to act as a guide, the setting of performing mental guidance for sentinels. In her previous life, she remained single until death. In this life, she has to be in close physical contact with different men, penetrating layer by layer. Tell her, how is she supposed to perform the practical? Hudson looked at the girl's delicate appearance, and her completely innocent expression, and felt an increasing headache. Every guide is a precious resource of the Empire. He couldn't just stand by and watch the girl, because her grades were failing, be stripped of her guide status. Hudson weighed his words for a moment, then spoke again. "From what I know, you've already twice in a row during guidance missions caused the sentinels to lose control, even nearly resulting in harm to you." Lin Wan nodded, quite embarrassed. That's indeed what happened. But she truly didn't know the reason. "My spiritual body seems to only have a parasitic function, unable to purify pollutants. I've tried very hard to control it, but it's no use." Hudson frowned. Lin Wan's words could indeed explain why her practical exam score was a 0. But causing sentinels to go mad couldn't possibly be for that reason. He tugged open his own collar, beckoned to Lin Wan. "Perform a spiritual guidance on me now. Let me see what's really going on." Lin Wan hesitated. "This isn't really appropriate, is it? What if I end up making you also?" She didn't have the nerve to say the rest out loud. Hudson, however, looked at her with a half smile. "Don't worry, Miss Lin. Given your current ability, you're still far from being able to drive me insane." Lin Wan pursed her lips. Even she herself couldn't guarantee such a thing. This man before her was weirdly confident. Well, if anything went wrong, then it couldn't be blamed on her. Lin Wan shuffled slowly over to stand in front of Hudson, first giving him a thorough once-over. Then, she gently placed her hand on the man's protruding Adam's apple. The man's tall body gave a slight tremble. Clearly, he hadn't expected her to touch him there. Then he immediately regained control of his body. Only the swallowing motion became faster. "Then I'm coming in," Officer Lin Wan whispered. After that, dense mental threads spread from her fingertips, entering the man's body. Every sentinel has a mental barrier, used to protect their own mental landscape. That is a person's most hidden existence. A qualified guide would not forcibly invade it. So when Lin Wan touched the man's mental barrier, she stopped. It was a desolate place, a desert with no end in sight. Lin Wan felt a bit flustered. The more powerful the sentinel, the broader the mental landscape. The endless desert before her eyes indicated that the man was undoubtedly S-rank. Watson sensed Lin Wan's nervousness. He softly reassured her. "I won't do anything. Begin according to what you've learned." Lin Wan forced herself to calm down. She released her own mental entity. Vibrant green vines excitedly coiled and moved, wanting to explore everywhere. Lin Wan struggled to control them, to prevent them from running wild. The so-called evolution is essentially the process of removing from the sentinel's mental landscape the illogically accumulated pollutants. It's fine as long as it's cleaned up. Lin Wan directed the vines to clean up the black sludge. But Lin Wan seemed to have found something more interesting. They bypassed the sludge, heading straight for it, pressing tightly against it. At the same time, Hudson let out an uncontrollable sound. His body began to tremble slightly. Heavy, labored panting, almost pressed against Lin Wan's neck. The man's reaction made Lin Wan somewhat afraid. He wanted to withdraw these vines, but the little thing seemed to have become addicted, not only wrapping around every branch of the withered tree, but also continuously rubbing and absorbing water. Lin Wan could sense a desiccant-like smell, continuously transmitted through those vines. One of the vines at the top of the withered tree touched something furry. This unusually soft texture excited him greatly. He directly coiled up that thing. Suddenly, the man spoke up to stop him, then forcibly closed the spiritual channel. Spiritual pressure radiated out in all directions. Lin Wan was still in her infancy, no match for the man at all. Forced to disconnect the link, she seemed to have lost her strength. Softly collapsing, Hudson caught her, carried her to the sofa to rest. Her breath was still somewhat unsteady. Deep in her eyes was an unknown emotion so thick it was hard to discern. "I roughly understand what's going on. Before student Lin correctly masters the evolution operation, do not perform spiritual guidance on sentinels anymore. I will inform your responsible teacher. Lin Wan really wanted to ask, what should she do next? But seeing the man's eyes, she fell silent. I don't know why. Every time after she finishes guiding the sentinels, they all show some inexplicable expressions. But this man in front of her understands the reason. But this indescribable look is even more confusing. Lin Wan knows her spiritual body can absorb the other party's energy and convert it into her own, this kind of very rogue, very shameless ability, causing her guide classmates to exclude her. But the reactions of the sentinels she encounters are completely opposite. They are eager to pounce on her and cling to her tightly. Hudson is an exception. That Lin Wan is confused. Lin Wan came out from the academic affairs office, preparing to return to class and continue attending lessons. On the way, she was still thinking about being a guide. Although it's a bit shameful during guidance. But no matter what, it's a civil servant job. After graduation, she can be assigned a job in a house. So she absolutely cannot be expelled. But she doesn't know how to evolve. What if she is reverted to her original form? Go back to being a commoner. How should she, with no one to rely on, live on? Thinking about it gives Lin Wan a headache, and she didn't pay attention for a moment. By a boy who is exceptionally tall. Blocked on the road, she looked up and recognized the person approaching. Her hair stood on end. She rapidly backed away several steps, turned around to flee, but collided with another man's embrace. The man firmly held her in place. He smiled with ill intentions. Kaiser. So this is the little guide who drove you mad. Kaiser slowly walked closer, but frowned slightly as he approached Lin Wan. Why do you carry such a revolting leopard scent? He's even in heat. What were you two playing at just now? Lin Wan shot a fierce glare at the man. This was her first mental guidance subject, who had gone mad and tried to violate her back then. Zolt was being taken away and locked up for a month. Let go of me, you filthy rogue. Aren't you afraid of being sentenced again? Lin Wan struggled violently. Kaiser instead grabbed her by the waist. With a slight exertion of force, Lin Wan couldn't move anymore. His gaze fell on Lin Wan's neck. That place had once been bitten by her, leaving behind her scent. But as time passed, the scent had long since vanished. Should have permanently marked her back then. Kaiser thought to himself, feeling a restless urge in his heart. It wasn't that he hadn't received from other guides, but that time with Lin Wan was different. He didn't know how to describe that feeling. Like countless tentacles crawling all over your body, they recklessly siphoned energy from you. Agonizing yet accompanied by a secretive pleasure. This was an experience he never had. During previous mental sessions, he excitedly spoke, "Little one, use your vines to play with me again." Just thinking about that feeling, Kaiser's drool was about to flow out again. He gripped Lin Wan's waist tightly, his whole body almost pressed against Lin Wan's. Lin Wan was in agony from his grip. Patience has reached its breaking point. She summoned a vine. With a smack, it struck Kaiser across the face. Get the hell away from me. Damn pervert. Kaiser was stunned on the spot. The body trembled violently. Breathing grew heavier. Then, grinning, she let out an excited laugh. Nearly fell to her knees. Good baby, hit me again. Freak. Lin Wan was genuinely creeped out. Fortunately, the man had already let go of her. Seizing the opening, she slipped out of the men's encirclement, turned and ran. Kaiser behind her still wanted to give chase, but was stopped by a friend at his side. That's enough for today. Hudson has already caught the scent and is coming. Know when to quit while you're ahead. Only then did Kaiser calm down. A look of disdain crossed his face. He let out a scornful laugh. That noble's lackey. What's there to be afraid of? Alright, I used my connections to pull you out this time. Rein it in, don't let things blow up and drag me down. If you want to be that girl's dog, there will be plenty of chances in the future. Nanyin, you're talking so tough now. Better not come begging later, wanting her to step on your face. Lin Wan fled back to the classroom as if running for her life. She was truly fed up with this crazy world. What kind of strange, touchy-feely weirdos are these sentinels? The electronics screen at the classroom entrance was playing. The latest important news. The young president had just ascended to the throne and was currently offering condolences to the families of sentinels who died on the front lines. His young and steady image won everyone's favor. It's all just a show, HMPH. A voice of disdain sounded beside Lin Wan. It was her classmate, Earl. A male guide noticed Lin Wan looking over. The disgust in his eyes intensified. He shouted furiously, "What are you staring at? You lowlifes have no right to be on equal footing with us." Lin Wan was completely confused. She wanted to curse back, but didn't dare to speak. This world had a Nobility Rights Act. Insulting nobles would lead to imprisonment. After Ellie, Lin Wan's deskmate, left, she cautiously approached to comfort her. The new president is from the New Democratic Party, opposed to old noble families like Earl. That's why he was so angry. Lin Wan was only angry for a moment, then stopped being angry. The two talked about the upcoming guide internship period. Ellie's face showed some worry. Pollution zone No. 5 suddenly collapsed. Everything over there is in chaos. Who knows if the school will still send us there during summer vacation. For the internship, Lin Wan's concerns were clearly in a different direction. My spiritual body has no evolutionary abilities. Even if I intern, I don't know if I can pass. Perhaps I'm not a guide at all. But a sentinel. Ellie widened her eyes in disbelief. How could that be? You definitely have guide qualities. Why don't I accompany you to the Guide Institute for another test? The academy doesn't allow guides to go out alone. Lin Wan applied for a sentinel escort. A dashing and heroic female sentinel. Her name is Luo Jin. Lin Wan stepped out of the school gate for the first time and was very curious about everything outside. She pressed against the car window and watched with rapt attention. No matter where they went along the way, she could see a towering building. That was the central white tower located at the very heart of the city. Inside were the offices of the president and officers of various ranks. Centered around the white tower, the surrounding ring was where the new and old nobles and wealthy people lived. Further out were the residential areas of ordinary citizens and the slums. Further out still lay the pollution zone, detested by everyone. The pollution zone was very dangerous, but at the same time concealed immense wealth. The monsters in the pollution zone carried a type of energy stone that could enhance the abilities of sentries and guides, attracting thousands of sentries to their deaths. The car soon drove through the gate of a hospital. After presenting their identification, afterward, special personnel immediately granted them access to a special passage. A staff member hurried over, looking utterly fearful and apprehensive, which made Lin Wan once again update her understanding. In this world, the status of a guide seemed even more special than she had imagined. After having a tube of blood drawn, Lin Wan was placed into a silver-white scanning pod. A faint electric current felt like countless ants crawling over her body, finally converging into her mental domain. The spiritual entity that had been dormant in his mind domain seemed to have been summoned and became thoroughly active. Countless emerald green vines stretched out in all directions, absorbing the sparse energy around. For some reason, Lin Wan suddenly felt a hint of hunger. She somewhat missed the sensation of her vines winding around someone else's spiritual entity and sucking. Could he be a strange person too? Skin complete, Lin Wan sat in the lounge, smelling the relaxing incense, listening to the soft music, giving him a momentary feeling of returning to his old home in Gulan. Just then, a scream came from somewhere unknown, followed by the sound of a violent explosion. The entire guide building trembled. Wojin hurriedly pushed the door open and entered, then locked the door behind him. I've already called the academy. They will send someone to pick us up immediately. Just stay here for a few minutes. From downstairs came a man's roar. Half human, half beast. This should be a high-level sentinel. Even through the lounge door, Lin Wan could feel the pressure emanating from that person. Ellie, who was in the same room, was already trembling with fear. Her spiritual entity, the little sea otter, also unconsciously emerged. Its head, like its owner's, curled into a ball. Wojin worriedly shielded Ellie in his arms, gently soothed her spiritual body. The little horse dog also dutifully guards in front of the little sea otter. Stay vigilant, ready to fight at any time. Only Lin Wan is sitting quietly on the chair. Under her feet are faintly surging vines, and everyone's emotions are received by the vines, transmitted into her head. So, a guide's spiritual body can be used like this. But that feeling of hunger came again. Lin Wan frowned. Why does she feel a bit excited? As if there are many little cakes outside that can fill her stomach. The vines are more honest than her reaction. They struggled for a while, then spread out from underground in all directions. Lin Wan's goosebumps stood up, because those vines of hers have already swam to a certain room on the second floor. She saw a half-human, half-wolf sentinel was brutally suppressing a soft woman. That guide seemed to have fainted, but the sentinel's mutation was still proceeding. The team members need to be guided. Why is there no guide? As long as there is a guide, they won't die. The mural sentinel painfully roared. Human characteristics are slowly being beastified. Surrounding staff shouted. Your pollution value has exceeded. You should first find your superior. Let him apply for treatment with the White Tower, instead of running here to attack innocent people. The mural sentinel seemed to have heard something laughable. My superior. Even if our entire squad perishes in the contaminated zone, he wouldn't bat an eye, because he is nobility. How could a noble ever consider commoners? The surrounding clamor suddenly fell silent. An indescribable heaviness slowly spread among the fellow sentinels, weighing heavily on each person's heart. I didn't mean to harm her. I just wanted her to save my teammates. My head is about to explode. The mutated sentinel kept wailing. Patches of his skin were falling off, constantly sprouting beastly fur. Soon, a massive mural black wolf roared, howling as it appeared before everyone. The vines grew restless. From deep within Lin Wan's heart came a voice saying, so hungry. The craving grew increasingly urgent. A faint, glowing light shone from the depths of her eyes. From not far away, the faint sound of police sirens approached, along with the noise of armored vehicles slowly rolling in. The mutated black wolf inside the room had already detected the commotion. He began retreating outward with his guide. Just at that moment, Lin Wan's vines, hidden underground, moved. Countless branches shot up, In an instant, they tightly bound the black wolf. A roar of defiance echoed. The air seemed to be sliced by sharp blades. The walls instantly crumbled and collapsed under the massive impact. The sentries lying in ambush outside had no time to react, was shaken off by this invisible, yet extremely powerful roar directly. Wojin sensed something was wrong. This sentinel's level was too high. Its attack power was too strong. This building would collapse sooner or later. They had to go downstairs. Who knew that as soon as they reached the second floor? A huge crashing sound came from the corridor again. The walls came crashing down. A piece of the ceiling also couldn't hold on and fell, directly blocking their path. At this moment, the military's armored vehicles had already driven in. Several fully armed soldiers got off. They advanced into the building in a well-trained manner. The black wolf heard the commotion, began to struggle and roar. It subconsciously opened its mouth, biting fiercely towards those vines that bind herself. It hurt so much to bite hard. Lin Wan covers her own arm, even though there is no wound there. But when the spiritual body is injured, the pain actually transmits to the body. The vines loosen slightly after being bitten. The black wolf seizes this gap, actually breaks free from the restraints and escapes. Howls accompanied by earth-shaking oppressive force. The black wolf seems to have caught a scent, actually charges directly toward Lin Wan's direction. The small Manhwa faces the difficulty head-on, is directly knocked flying. Wojin is also flipped over by the giant wolf's sharp claws, knocked unconscious on the ground. As for Ellie, she fainted long ago. Lin Wan has no time to make any reaction before being forcefully pressed to the ground. Her back collides violently with the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. It's over, she's going to be eaten. Lin Wan despairingly closes her eyes tight. Yet, 2 seconds pass. The imagined pain still hasn't struck. Full of doubts, Lin Wan can't help but slowly open her eyes. What meets her eyes is the giant wolf. Enormously huge. Those eyes, as if burning with bloody flames, are now firmly fixed on her. What's going on? Lin Wan blinks, tries to move. The giant wolf slaps her back down to the same spot, not harming her, but not letting her run either. The vines in Lin Wan's mind begin to stir again. After obtaining Lin Wan's permission, they instantly surged out and tightly entangled the giant wolf. Having caught such a big fellow, the vines clearly became excited. They pressed closely against the mutated black wolf's body and began continuously absorbing the energy from him. The black wolf, originally in a restless state, suddenly quieted down. A pair of bloodshot eyes from fury were now filled with confusion and bewilderment. Good doggy, Lin Wan softly called out in the brain domain. The voice passed through the vines and reached the eardrums of the mutated black wolf. The large wolf ears twitched. A tremendous energy transmitted from the black wolf's body, mixed with a scent of gunpowder. This scent, Lin Wan had smelled on Director Hudson, and on that madman as well. The hunger was slowly being satisfied. The energy-nourished brain region becomes incredibly smooth and pleasant. Lin Wan suddenly discovered the originally dark and narrow brain domain gradually expanded outward. On a barren piece of land, at some unknown time, a tiny tender sprout emerged. The black wolf let out a low whimper, as if warning, or as if restraining its grievance. Instantly losing its former imposing manner, its blood-red eyes returned to their original color. The corners of its eyes were damp, like a puppy that had just been roughly kneaded by its owner. Pitiful and touching, Lin Wan separated one vine whip. He gave it a light smack. No acting spoiled. The giant wolf lay down with a howl. It returned to its normal size. Its head approached Lin Wan. It licked her neck. Lin Wan could finally get out from under the black wolf. She patted the black wolf's head. She couldn't help but praise it for being so well-behaved. The sudden disappearance of the beast's roar inside the building made the people outside feel extremely puzzled. What's going on? Detected that the eminence value is dropping sharply. Just at that moment, another group of people walked over from outside the crowd. White and gold uniforms. They were from the Guide Academy. The person leading them was Director Hudson. His nose twitched slightly. He seemed to catch a faint, elusive scent. He walked straight inside. Lin Wan was being taken downstairs by medical staff at that moment. The injured personnel on site were all taken away by professional medical teams. Only she, perfectly healthy, was being escorted out. She was checked thoroughly inside and out. She hadn't expected Director Hudson to appear here. Hudson had been standing by her side. Only after seeing that she was safe and sound did he step forward. That black wolf had already reached S-Class after its transformation. The pressure it released could cause mental disturbance in an S-Class guide. Are you sure there's no damage to your mental domain? Hearing this, Lin Wan specifically focused on feeling her own mental landscape. The vines, now full and satisfied, were spirited and vigorous. The branch is either ranged as an S or as a B. From this perspective, it should be fine, right? Hudson took a deep look at her. Unnamed emotions flickered in his eyes. At that moment, the outpatient clinic door was slowly pushed open. A male doctor came in with a document folder. Guide Lin, here is your physical examination report from earlier. Hudson naturally took the report. He skimmed through the physical examination report in a glance. His gaze stopped at the final rating assessment. There clearly was a large letter D. Seeing Hudson's puzzled expression, the male doctor quickly explained. This is the report that just came out 10 minutes ago. Miss Lin is a very precious wood-type guide. A D-level spiritual body, possessing excellent healing abilities. Lin Wan was stunned. D-level, isn't she an E-level guide? When did she get promoted? She found it a bit hard to believe for a moment. Hudson was the first to snap back to reality. He had smelled the beast's aroused scent outside the building earlier, and the faint woody fragrance that had once trapped him. He looked at Lin Wan and asked, "Were you giving that mutated sentinel spiritual guidance just now?" Lin Wan told the truth. "I didn't. I only used vines to bind him when he was about to attack me. I didn't do anything else." Hudson frowned deeply. He fixed his gaze on Lin Wan's neck. Clearly, it was already about to succumb to a beast without consciousness. But it hasn't forgotten to beg. Hudson sneered, raised his hand and gently wiped it over Lin Wan's neck, wiping away the scent left there by the black wolf. Lin Wan touched her neck, somewhat puzzled. That sentinel just now. Actually, he didn't intend to harm the guide. He just wanted to receive guidance. Hudson interrupted Lin Wan's words. "Student Lin, never empathize with sentinels. The safety of guides is above all else. This is the bottom line of the country." Lin Wan looked at Hudson's warning eyes, tactfully did not speak further. "Since there's nothing wrong with your body, then go back. Get plenty of rest. Prepare for the makeup exam at 2 p.m. tomorrow." When Lin Wan heard the words makeup exam, immediately her whole body shuddered. She hurriedly asked the director, "The practical object for my makeup exam, is it still that sentinel from before?" Hudson glanced at her. Because the subjects from the previous 2 times, the mental condition wasn't particularly stable. "So for this makeup exam, we've changed to a different person." Only then did Lin Wan relax. Return to the dormitory. The first thing she did was check the small sprout in her mental realm. 2 green leaves were oddly pretty. She poked it with her finger. Just see that thing shake, and shake like a sieve. Then a tender leaf shyly hooked onto her finger. Lin Wan was directly horrified. What the hell is this? It actually has consciousness. Could she possibly have 2 spiritual entities? Unable to figure it out, Lin Wan directly fell asleep. Until the next day at noon. Did she open her eyes? After tidying herself up, Lin Wan prepared to go to the cafeteria to eat. As a result, the elevator doors opened, and she saw an unexpected person. "What a coincidence, we meet again. Dear guide miss." Upon seeing Lin Wan, the man revealed a gentle smile on his face. Lin Wan instantly retreated warily. He was that lunatic's companion. But why, being a sentinel? Could he freely come and go from the guide academy? "Don't be nervous, Kaiser isn't here today. I'm the only one who came in." He gentlemanly extended his hand toward Lin Wan. "Go in, my ass." Putting on the noble, well-mannered act. He treated her so terribly yesterday. Does he still remember? Lin Wan immediately turned around, prepared to stay far away from him. "You go first. I don't need it now." Hearing Lin Wan say this, the man didn't force her, bidding farewell with a smile. "Then we'll see each other later." Lin Wan barely held back the urge to roll her eyes. "Who wants to see you forever? Better to never see you again." She deliberately dawdled in the hallway for a while, before pressing the elevator button again. The elevator doors opened. This time, it was another acquaintance. Upon seeing Lin Wan, Earl's face immediately showed disgust. His tone was quite hostile. The elevator for lowly commoners to sit in. Lin Wan's temper flared up instantly, one after another. Do they all think she's easy to bully? She let out a cold snort. With a single stride, she stepped into the elevator. Earl didn't expect Lin Wan to lean in so directly. A faint, woody fragrance suddenly lingered at the tip of his nose. His face turned slightly, imperceptibly red. He involuntarily took a few steps back. Seeing this, Lin Wan shifted a bit in his direction. Workers inherently carry 100 caddies of rebelliousness. The more this man disliked her, the more she insisted on getting close. She thought for a moment. Lin Wan deliberately tilted her head to look at Earl. Her large, bright eyes were full of innocence. "Why can't I ride the elevator together?" Earl stared blankly at the pitifully delicate Lin Wan. His already flushed face now turned even redder. He clenched his teeth, closed his eyes, and angrily turned his head to the side. The elevator doors closed. Inside the confined space, one's senses became even more acute. Lin Wan could even hear the slight panting of the boy beside her. She secretly released her spiritual entity, originally intending to probe the other's emotions, to find out why this person always seemed to dislike her. But somehow, one of the vines actually reached out and touched him directly. A rabbit that could moan so delicately, so adorable. His entire body flushed red. The information transmitted back made Lin Wan freeze in place. And the boy who had been restraining himself in the corner all along, suddenly, as if struck by an electric current, a faint groan escaped his throat. His whole body trembled. His eyes snapped open. He glared furiously at Lin Wan. At that moment, the elevator doors opened. Earl immediately rushed out in a huff. Before leaving, He didn't forget to hurl a few more derogatory names at Lin Wan. Lin Wan watched speechlessly as Earl stormed off in a rage. What's the big deal? It was just an accidental physical touch. Is it really worth getting so worked up over? After finishing the meal, Lin Wan arrived at the designated counseling room. As soon as she entered, someone was waiting for her inside. Seeing clearly who the other person was, Lin Wan's expression instantly fell. The male infant, who had been leisurely sitting in a chair drinking tea, upon seeing Lin Wan enter, performed an extremely gentlemanly bow. Miss Lin, we meet again. Lin Wan instantly felt that maybe this makeup exam isn't absolutely necessary. Failing and being expelled from school might actually be a good thing. The man noticed Lin Wan's expression. He gave a slight bow and apologized in a gentle, somewhat remorseful tone. What happened last time was our fault. I sincerely apologize to you once again. And let me introduce my identity. My name is Nanyin Chris, currently serving as the president of the student council at Sentinel Academy. Rest assured, I will absolutely not be as reckless as my companion. To scare our lovely lady, the overly gentlemanly and polite manner of men truly left Lin Wan feeling somewhat at a loss. She felt uncomfortable all over. Bracing herself, she said it's okay. A look of relief washed over the male infant's face. It's really great that you can forgive. Just then, the invigilator also arrived. He briefly explained some precautions, then left the space to them. Returning to the monitoring room, Lin Wan had just settled into the chair reserved for guides. When she looked up, she saw the male infant already taking off his clothes. Lin Wan was startled. Is this person perhaps a bit off? Why take off clothes for no reason? Taking off clothes aside, why is he wearing a black restraint belt underneath? Nanyin didn't feel his actions were unusual at all. He explained, my mental landscape is different from others. It's below. Who knows if he was intentional or not? As he explained, he used his slender fingers to slowly trace over his bulging pectoral muscles, then followed the crevice all the way down to his lean abdominal area. The external obliques on both sides extended downward, where a blue gem was hidden, glittering with a tempting luster. Oh my god! Lin Wan's brain was practically overheating. She lowered her eyes, trying her best not to let her gaze wander to those places, and then clenched her legs together, not daring to move a muscle. Nanyin let out a soft laugh, walked to stand in front of Lin Wan, took her hand and placed it on the sapphire. Just touch here. Her voice was low and mellow, carrying a bewitching, mesmerizing power. Lin Wan instantly plunged into that endless sea. This sentinel's mental barrier was actually an ocean. Lin Wan grew more and more curious about what his spiritual entity was. She let go of her body and plummeted straight toward the abyss of the seafloor. Soon, Lin Wan arrived at an underwater garden. There were countless seaweeds here, coral, pearls, and a massive underwater palace. Lin Wan stood at the entrance of the palace, not venturing inside rashly. She summoned vines and began issuing commands to the scattered rocks and silt outside the palace. The dancing vines surged forth like algae. Only their attention wasn't on the accumulated, dusty pollutants at all. Instead, they rolled and destroyed wildly within the underwater garden. The originally tranquil, serene underwater garden was instantly thrown into complete chaos. Lin Wan repeatedly called for them to stop, trying to control them from being too rough. But the thrilling sense of destruction transmitted by the vines excited Lin Wan to an extraordinary degree. She felt hungry again. Lin Wan's hand touched the male sentinel's lower abdomen. The spiritual threads in her hand emitted a faint green glow, continuously entering the man's body. The smile gradually faded from the male infant's face. His strong body found it difficult to control its shaking. As the sensations within his body grew stronger, the amplitude of his tremors grew larger. Nanyin clenched his teeth tightly, trying to endure the peculiar surge inside his body. But the turbulent waves crashed toward him one after another. Finally, he could no longer withstand it, and let out a moan from deep within his throat. When the vines in the underwater garden destroyed the last intact scenery completely, the sentinel, whose body was renowned as steel, was ultimately overwhelmed by that indescribable feeling. His legs went weak, and he heavily knelt on the ground, while Ling Luan, whose consciousness remained within the sentinel's spiritual barrier, now felt the surrounding seawater unusually scalding. Amidst the shaking heavens and earth, it seemed as if some terrifying creature was approaching him. He couldn't help but look up, and saw an enormous blue jellyfish. The jellyfish's tentacles flexed agilely, and in an instant wrapped around Lin Wan's body. The jellyfish meant no harm. Lin Wan sensed this, and couldn't resist reaching out to touch it. The slippery texture felt cool and icy, like jelly, unusually comfortable. The vines also seemed to have noticed this creature that is more interesting than the underwater garden. They eagerly wrap around it, entangling with the jellyfish's tentacles, rubbing against each other, where Lin Wan's naked eye cannot see. The jellyfish seems to have fallen into a strange state. It trembles slightly, as if experiencing some intense sensation. As the trembling intensifies, it actually begins to overflow with moisture. In reality, Nanyin only feels as if all the moisture in his body is being drained. He should immediately distance himself from Lin Wan. But his spiritual body, which has always remained united with him, for the first time defies him. He can't help but close his eyes, allowing his body to sink into unbearable stimulation. A ceaseless stream of bodily fluid seeps from his pores, dampening the tight restraints against him. He looks up at the girl sitting in the chair. She is immersed in her spiritual sea, her fingers glowing green, her face calm and composed, a stark contrast to his current state of chaos and utter mess. It's really too much. He thinks this, but dares not look again. He struggles to suppress his body's urge to embrace her. Sweat drips and gathers into a puddle on the floor. So sweet, such a thought transmits into Lin Wan's mind. And a little salty too. The little jellyfish really knows how to flow. Touching here even makes it gasp. The voice is also pleasant. Let's drain it dry. As the consciousness of the vines became increasingly indescribable, Lin Wan panicked and withdrew the vines back into her mental domain. She swam back to the seabed. The giant jellyfish had already shrunk in size and obediently followed along. Spiritual entities are so well behaved. Lin Wan patted its head, then turned her attention to the pollutants on the seabed. The underwater garden was completely destroyed. Along with the accumulated pollutants, everything was gone as well. So although this method was somewhat rough, it should still count as completing the task, right? Lin Wan severed the mental link and withdrew from the sea area. When she opened her eyes again, she saw the sentinel kneeling before her. She was startled and wanted to distance herself from this man. But as soon as she tried to get up, her legs were pinned down, keeping her trapped in the chair, unable to escape. Nanyan slowly raised his head to look up. His face, usually carrying an air of elegance and nobility, was now filled with disheveled shame and indignation. His eyes held unfathomably complex emotions. What's going on? Why does this person look like such a mess? A huge question mark formed in Lin Wan's mind. But her body didn't dare move an inch. Sorry, please let me stay like this for a while. It seems I've offended classmate Lin again. Nanyan's tone was full of sincerity and guilt. Those powerful arms were like iron brands, firmly welded onto Lin Wan's body. The aura of the whole body was like a fierce beast that had locked onto its prey. Lin Wan was horrified. Only then did he realize that this jellyfish was a bit tea. In the monitoring room, Hudson walked behind the invigilator teacher Tina and asked how it was inside. Tina pointed at an electronic screen in front of her. It seemed that it should have succeeded, but she was somewhat puzzled. It was only some shallow guidance. Why did there still appear a slight tuberculosis fever? Hudson looked at the data chart appearing on the screen. In the pollution value column, it only slightly decreased by a negligible amount. This actually fits a D-grade guide very well. The characteristic of being weak but loving to play. Hudson's gaze was fixed on the screen, the ambiguous scene of the two people. After a good while, he said, "Yesterday, the abstinence sender captured an alienated black wolf. Without deep guidance therapy, its alienation value decreased, and at the same time entered a state of bonding heat." Tina's eyes flickered, boldly proposed a conclusion that no one had ever mentioned. Could it be that bonding heat is the key factor in preventing alienation? Hudson did not agree, nor did he oppose. He placed a report by Tina's hand. When it was captured yesterday, he was with this student. We think it was he who soothed his emotions. Tina's expression turned grim. He picked up Lin Wan's report card. The glaring red marks all over it made it almost unbearable to look at. A student who can't even establish a psychic link. Can she soothe the mutated sentinel? Hudson nodded, though it was hard to believe. This was the truth. And he successfully made that wolf acknowledge its master. Tina smiled in understanding. So the purpose of your visit today is to have me give her a passing grade. To keep her. Lin Wan was forcibly hugged by Tina for over half an hour, feeling completely drenched in sweat. Only then did the other party let go of her. After the male infant stabilized his emotions, he returned to that precious, elegant demeanor. If it's convenient for you, would I have the honor of inviting you to dine together? The sweat on the man's body had already dried. His cold, pale skin appeared especially striking. Lin Wan blushed. Sorry. Let's take a rain check. I still have to go to the academic office later to pick up my report card. The man showed a moment of despondency, but soon he was at ease again. Then let's make plans when you're free. Summer vacation is almost here. We'll be hosting many fun parties. By then, we can get to know each other more deeply. I can't take it anymore. This sentinel is really too flirtatious. Lin Wan got goosebumps all over. Summer vacation is still far off. Who knows what arrangements might come up by then? As he spoke, he kept waving his hands. His feet didn't fall behind either, quickly moving toward the door. The dean is calling for me. I should get going then. See you next time, classmate Nanyan. Nanyan looked at Lin Wan with amusement, running faster than a rabbit. A moment later, he leisurely picked up the jacket from the floor. With elegant and composed movements, he unhurriedly buttoned up the clothes. Lin Wan arrived at the academic office. Hudson was already inside waiting for her. The results are out. Well done. Classmate Lin Hudson placed the brain domain values of Nanyan in front of Lin Wan. Lin Wan took a look. A bit unlucky. Only 0.5. How did it drop so little? She was clearly putting in a lot of effort. Is the effect really that poor? At least she won't be expelled, right? Hudson said lightly. This result is quite common among beginner guides. Just keep working hard slowly in the future. Lin Wan couldn't help but feel a little curious. Do others also have around this value? Most people are like this. Of course, there are some exceptions, Hudson said while pulling out a transcript. For example, this kid is a rare genius. He should be promoted to S rank soon, making it onto the list of legendary guides. Curiously, Lin Wan glanced at the photo and saw a blonde, blue-eyed, rather familiar face. It was actually that Sundeer rabbit. He's actually that impressive? No wonder he often looks down on her. A D rank like her really isn't much compared to an A rank. Hudson glanced at Lin Wan's expression. You are also an exception, so you don't need to worry too much. What do you mean? Lin Wan looked completely confused. Could she also reach S rank? With this borrowed 60-point score now? Hudson's expression turned serious. Major level spiritual. Link is not only for guiding and healing. A capable guide can also exert reverse control, making the sentinel a weapon in your hands. Student Lin Hudson's voice suddenly rose. Do you understand what I mean? As long as you want. Not a single sentinel can refuse you. Little did they know, the academic director had long since grasped her ability. Lin Wan, for some inexplicable reason, just followed Hudson to the central White Tower. White Tower, underground floor 15. Hudson pointed at a male on the surveillance screen. Although this person has stopped mutating, the pollution value in his brain domain hasn't decreased. Lin Wan found him somewhat familiar. Only after a while did he remember. This was the mutated black wolf that attacked him yesterday. Hudson glanced at him and led him further inside, only to arrive at the scene from the surveillance just now. A subtle scent drifted into Lin Wan's nostrils. So familiar, Hudson's low voice slowly sounded. Can you smell it? This is the scent of a beast in heat. The sentinel's mutation was interrupted, but he's fallen into a mating cycle. Panic surged in Lin Wan's heart. His vines only absorbed a tiny bit of the mutated black wolf's energy. How could there still be side effects? The vines were also startled. This hug is so terrifying, so fierce even though I touched him. And he felt so good. After feeling good, he turns around and acts like he doesn't know me. On Ancient Southern Star, that would be called a scumbag, right? Hudson stopped walking and looked at Lin Wan. Right here. You release your spiritual body towards him once more. Lin Wan dared not disobey the academic dean's words. She carefully placed her hand on the man's abdominal muscles, then released the vines once again. Upon seeing the bound sentinel, the vine's earlier resentful emotions were instantly cast aside. They very swiftly coiled around the man's body. Lin Wan struggled to control the vines, preventing them from absorbing energy. Then she turned her head to ask Dean Hudson, "Is this right?" Hudson raised an eyebrow. "Why aren't your vines absorbing now?" "Begin, just like you did to me that day." Lin Wan sighed inwardly. This man truly knew everything. Since that was the case, she released the restraint on the vines. The originally quiet and unmoving vines began to voraciously devour the energy from the sentinel's body. And the long unconscious sentinel Yihua suddenly awoke. Unbearable moans spilled from his throat. His body trembled slightly. The chains holding him clanged chaotically. A heart-stopping sound. After an unknown length of time, Sentinel Yihua seemed to have exhausted all his strength to resist. His struggling movements came to an abrupt halt. His body also gradually relaxed. Hudson behind her suddenly issued an order. Now, break through his barrier. Enter him and find his spiritual body. With a crashing sound, the sentinel's spiritual barrier shattered. Lin Wan entered with ease. Entered the other's mental landscape. Lin Wan didn't expect that the secret hidden in this sentinel's heart was actually a small wooden cabin. He gently pushed open the cabin door and saw a multi-person dormitory. 2 bunk beds. On the only desk sat an old group photo. It was a picture of several young sentinels together. They looked very close, arms around each other's shoulders, faces full of bright smiles. The face of one man was exactly this mutated sentinel, and these were actually the people he cared about most. Lin Wan looked around, except for the photo being in color. Everywhere else was piled with mud. A blurry figure was curled up behind a broken wooden wall, stealthily watching her with vigilance. A question mark appeared above Lin Wan's head. Shouldn't it be a giant black wolf? Why is it a dirty little dog? Lin Wan crouched down, gently looking at the puppy, a faint smile on her face. She softly beckoned. "Come here, good boy." The puppy sensitively twitched its ears, its nose constantly sniffing. After determining Lin Wan meant no harm, it leaned out. Lin Wan gently picked it up, stroking the wolf cub's body over and over. The wolf cub let out a comfortable whimper, and the vines also grew excited, curling the young wolf's body into a ball. Lin Wan discovered this sentinel was really too obedient. Before, when her spirit reached this level of indulgence, it would either be counterattacked or the connection would be forcibly severed. But the little wolf before her just stayed quietly, his eyes showing a touch of innocence. Even though the vines massaged him without restraint, nearly greedily drawing in, he only let out a few soft, weak whimpers. This kind of docile appearance made Lin Wan's heart instantly soften. If only he could also, like other guides, just guide the sentry and it'll be fine. She thought like this. The vines that had been constantly stroking the fluffy fur, as if receiving some signal, all released the cub and began devouring the muddy sludge around the little wolf. The sludge could be eaten but didn't taste good. It was all kinds of negative emotions difficult to describe, not as tempting as the little cake before. By the time Lin Wan reacted, the vines had already devoured all the surrounding sludge clean. Her mental domain was instantly filled with a flood of images. A human sentinel squad roamed dangerous zones year-round, collecting Earth-type energy stones to exchange for high rewards. Squad members, through long years of cooperation and companionship, gradually became as close as brothers. And the Black Wolf was precisely the squad's captain. That day they received a mission to escort a noble into Pollution Zone No. 5. Pollution Zone No. 5 has been peaceful and has not experienced any riots. It was a place the squad knew like the back of their hand. Everyone thought it would be an extremely easy mission. They were even waiting for the mission to end, to receive the large bonus and book a higher level guide. But no one expected. The nightmare had begun. In Lin Wan's mind, bloody scenes also appeared one after another. Negative emotions surged like a tidal wave, tightly constricting his heart. Every scream pierced his eardrums like sharp thorns. His nerves were stretched to the limit. Yet his mind couldn't digest these negative emotions. Lin Wan forced himself to retract the vines, severing the mental connection with the sentry. But in reality, he couldn't support his own body, and softly fell backward. He fell into a sturdy embrace. When Lin Wan woke up again, he found himself lying on a large white bed. Thank goodness. Wan, you're finally awake. Lin Wan turned his head to look, only to see Ellie watching him with a worried expression. How could you be so reckless to casually give a sentry of such a higher level than yourself do deep dredging? Lin Wan thought about his actions, entering the sentry's spiritual landscape. Is it just deep dredging? No one had ever told him that. Ellie was indignant. Director Hudson too. There are so many high-level guides in the White Tower. Yet he specifically pushes you, a student, to perform purification. Looking around, making sure no one was there. Ellie continued softly. Director Hudson is blacklisted among the guides. Lin Wan was shocked. So none of the guides pay attention to him. And that's why he's targeting me. Ellie continued gossiping. He has a terrifying performance evaluation for guides. If tasks aren't completed, not only do they not get paid, but they also have to provide free deep for sentries. What? There's also performance evaluation. Even civil servants can go unpaid. Lin Wan was speechless, wondering if it's still possible to change careers now. At this point, Ellie looked pale, hearing that she went to the Guide Academy to be the academic dean. I just want to start with students who are easy to manipulate. Oh my god. The mere thought of having to live a 996 work clock in system in the future, with bonuses tied to performance, makes me want to go crazy. Even beasts of burden don't have it this tough, do they? The former real beasts of burden give birth to spirit horses. Haha, that's about it. That's still too modest. Real beasts of burden are even worse than that. Saying it out loud would scare the little sea otter to death. By the way, Ellie, what exactly is spiritual guidance all about? Why do you all get excellent grades in your practical classes? Ellie thought for a moment. My sea otter baby's skill is cleansing. It can rub out a lot of bubbles and wash away those pollutants. It's quite simple, really. Hearing this, Lin Wan's heart skipped a beat. Others clean away pollutants, but her vines eat them. Oh my god, no wonder she, with her indigestion. She was about to check on the vines, when a gentle voice sounded outside the door. 2 students. Excuse me, may I come in for a visit? Ellie saw who it was, and shivered all over. She stood up respectfully and called out, Director Huo, I've finished my visit. I'll be going now. After saying this, she glanced guiltily at Lin Wan, and ran off. Only 2 people were left in the ward. Hudson quietly sat down on the chair. How are you feeling? Lin Wan felt a bit embarrassed. No problems anymore. Thank you for sending me here, Director. You're fine, that's what matters. Thank you for being willing to provide for that sentinel. It's just that guides nowadays are content with enjoying life, no longer putting in effort. The gap in spiritual power levels between them and the sentinels is getting wider and wider. Every year, there are more and more sentinels in need of spiritual, but fewer guides capable of deep level. Can you imagine the kind of despair the sentinels must feel? Lin Wan was left flushed and embarrassed by the remarks. Everything she had just said to Ellie had been overheard by this person. Of course, as a working professional, she also understood the department head's perspective quite well. She opened her mouth, feeling quite embarrassed. Director, the guidance I provided for Black Wolf this time. Is the pollution value reduction much greater? Then the one I did for jellyfish last time. Hudson smiled and nodded. He pulled out a document and handed it to Lin Wan. 5%. You have broken a record never before achieved by a D-class guide. In cross-level treatment. Lin Wan looked up, his eyes instantly brightening. Wow, Vine. This way of devouring is comparable to a vacuum cleaner. Really is much stronger than others' rag mops. Also, do you know why so many high-level guides couldn't pry open that barrier? But you entered it easily. Lin Wan was indeed curious. This was a situation she had never encountered before. That's because after the Black Wolf acknowledged you as its master, its spiritual barrier will only open for you. Our current compatibility rate is already close to 90%. Lin Wan was stunned. A face full of disbelief. A high-ranking sentinel acknowledging a master. A low-ranking guide. How much trust she must have in him. To reach this point, Hudson slowly stood up, restraining the urge to touch Lin Wan. Go for it, young girl. Dig deep. That addictive strength of your spiritual body. When the time comes, you can freely use the rest of my words. The man did not say it out loud. A high-ranking sentinel from the Super S family. Born with reserve and endurance. Everything about him was restrained and repressed. Even knowing that his contamination value had long been on the verge of collapse, suffering torment day and night. He did not, like others, immediately cast aside all dignity and status upon meeting a guide he favored, wagging his tail and fawning over them. Wow, so cute. Lin Wan was still marveling at her own solid strength when she saw a little black leopard leap into her arms. Hudson looked on in surprise at his spiritual body, which had come out without greeting. Once again, he felt an uncontrollable awkwardness, faced with the fluffy creature delivered right to her. Adhering to the principle of if you don't pet it, it's a waste, Lin Wan happily started petting it. Hudson's body trembled slightly. He could feel his skull being gently massaged by a pair of hands, fingers parted. The strands of black hair, one by one. A tingling sensation spread from the roots of his hair all the way down to his whole body. It made his heart burn with restlessness. Meanwhile, Lin Wan kept stroking the little black leopard's chubby cheeks, then scratching under his chin. The little black leopard squinted its eyes comfortably under the petting. Before long, it lay flat on its back, exposing its belly. Hudson's eyelid twitched. His instincts warned him that if he didn't leave now, something would go wrong. He quickly wrapped up the remaining matters he had to explain. The league tournament between the Guide Academy and the Sentinel Academy was about to begin. As long as they achieved good results, not only would they earn academic credits, but also receive substantial subsidies. Hearing there was money to be made, Lin Wan, who didn't have a single penny in savings, suddenly became as fired up as if injected with adrenaline. I'll work hard, I promise. Don't you worry, not at all. Not a chance. Hudson firmly took his spiritual entity and left. But as he turned to go, in his deep eyes, there clearly flashed a trace of a barely noticeable smile. After seeing Director Hudson off, Lin Wan couldn't wait to start reviewing the events. 2 operations performed on the same day actually differed by 10 times in effectiveness. Lin Wan couldn't help but think again of the vacuum cleaner theory. Could it really be that devouring pollutants is stronger than destroying them? Lin Wan returned to his mental domain once more, and saw that the branch that had previously broken off had now grown a new one. This branch was the first to devour pollutants, and also consumed the most. Compared to the other vines, it had grown a bit larger. So since these vines can eat pollutants, why didn't they eat them before? Causing the original owner's practical course grade to be 0. Almost got expelled. Who knew the vines? Complaints would come immediately. We love to eat, but we really don't have to eat everything. If we eat that, it's just a belly full of waste. Hard to digest. So that's the reason. Lin Wan had nothing to say. The next day, Ellie mysteriously pulled Lin Wan to the treatment room. Brought you here to see how guides treat sentinels. Side is senior zoo. 2 years ahead of us. After graduation, she worked at the White Tower. Now a healing type guide. Ranked 5th in popularity. Her strength is almost reaching level 1. So impressive. Lin Wan's interest was piqued. Inside the treatment room, there is an even more private room. The glass is half transparent, half frosted. The sentinel receiving treatment lies on a bed. Guidezu sits on top of him. Water blue light flows like a stream, continuously entering the sentinel's body beneath her. The sentinel is probably restrained, unable to move. But from his struggling movements, it can be guessed that the situation inside is quite intense. So this is how the guide provides spiritual guidance to the sentinel. Lin Wan was filled with obscure thoughts, for who knows how long it lasted. The woman's water blue glow finally faded away. She raised her hand to wipe the sweat from her body. Then she unfastened the sentinel's handcuffs. Just as she was about to get off the bed and leave, the sentinel on the bed suddenly sat up with a forceful movement, grabbed the woman's hand, clutched her chin, and kissed her deeply. The sentinel was very tall and broad. Once sitting up, his entire upper body was visible. Strong, excited muscles, as if containing endless power. He effortlessly controlled the woman in his arms, held her and kissed her urgently, as if only through this way Could he release the overwhelming intense emotions flooding his body? Ellie let out a low scream, quickly covered her eyes with her hands. But she was also curious. Couldn't help but peek through her fingers, watching as the scene inside grew increasingly indescribable. Lin Wan hastily pulled Ellie away and quickly left the treatment room. The two stood outside the door for a while. Ellie still couldn't snap out of it. So this is the world of adults. So this is what mature spiritual guidance is like. Lin Wan simply couldn't bear to look. Stop going on about it. Your nose is about to bleed. Wow, this is really too intense, Ellie said while vigorously wiping her nose. Lin Wan is already an adult. It's not like I haven't seen this kind of little whatever culture image before. So she remained relatively calm, not knowing how long they had been standing there. The door of the consultation room finally opened. Lin Wan and Ellie simultaneously widened their eyes to peek inside. The male sentry emerged first from within. After a few steps, he turned back and pulled the female guide into his arms. The tall man now seemed as soft as a little kitten, extremely reluctant to leave. The female guide in his embrace seemed quite accustomed to this kind of behavior. She didn't push him away immediately. Instead, she gently patted his shoulder. Hurry, or you'll be late. Xiao, are you? Wait for me to return from the mission. I will definitely bring you the highest grade water-type energy stone. I'm really looking forward to it. The woman responded tenderly, reaching out to gradually smooth away the man's last traces of agitation. A few minutes later, that sentry finally was willing to leave the guide. Only then did Zhu Ryu let out a sigh, shaking her own wrist, which had been gripped until it hurt. Senior, you're amazing. A sentry of such a high level is like a little kitten in your hands? Ellie had already rubbed up against her with admiration, her eyes full of stars. It's all right, Zhu Ryu was still straightening her clothes. The face that was full of tenderness just moments ago now held extreme impatience. It's just that feline types have a strong scent. That part is really annoying, she complained nonstop while tidying up, also using a warm towel to carefully wipe her neck and hands, meticulously cleaning them. Only then did she look at Ellie. What are you doing here? I suffered a bit of a fright earlier. Sent here for recuperation. Isn't this supposed to be discharge time? Just wanted to come see my senior. Zhu Ryu was extremely cold. She then looked toward Lin Wan on the other side. She sized her up from head to toe. Who is this? She's my desk mate, called Lin Wan, also here for healing together. Before Ellie could finish introducing, Lin Wan already felt an extremely uncomfortable mental probing. The vines were already angrily trying to rush out. Lin Wan forcefully held them back. After clearly scanning Lin Wan's level, Zhu Ryu then withdrew her mental detection. The impatience in her eyes became even more obvious. Since you've seen me, head back early. I'm a bit tired. Need to go shower and sleep. Ellie originally had a whole bellyful of things she wanted to say. But sensing her senior's somewhat cold attitude, she prepared to leave. Only Zhu Ryu seemed to remember something again. A warm and friendly smile appeared on the face. By the way, I have a small thing I'd like to ask for your help with. Is it convenient now? Ellie, who was originally hanging her head in dejection, her eyes instantly brightened again. It's convenient, senior. What do you need us to do? It's very simple. There's just a patient who needs a follow-up check. You just need to help record the brain overflow values. It's just that the patient is a bit cruel. Lin Wan, who had been watching the whole time, was a bit speechless. Not only were they unwelcome here, but they were also being used as free labor. She didn't want to cause trouble, but she couldn't resist Ellie's full-hearted enthusiasm. Before long, the assistant led a sentinel who was practically shimmering in gold into the treatment room. When the sentinel entered, he didn't see Zhu Ryu, but instead to unfamiliar young women. His expression instantly fell. The assistant hurried forward to explain. Guide Zhu is still tied up in the critical care zone at the moment. Lord Flores, please be magnanimous and understand this special situation. Flores' two eyes skinned Lin Wan and Ellie with ill intentions. His gaze was like to gorgeous venomous snakes, exuding a kind of greed and voyeurism that made one extremely uncomfortable. After a long while, Flores finally relented. Fine, let's get started then. He skillfully sat down on the healing chair and lay back. Ellie looked at Lin Wan, signaling that she would handle the re-examination. Her psychic energy level was higher than Lin Wan's, but the man's oily appearance made her feel a bit disgusted and uneasy. Ellie's water blue light glowed, and she gently placed her hands on the sentinel's shoulders. The nearby instruments detected fluctuations in psychic energy, and various numerical values quickly ran across the screen. Lin Wan didn't need to do anything herself. The vines had quietly gathered information about the man. His psychic level was only a psychic barrier, already slackened like a puddle of mud. The vines slipped in without anyone noticing, but very soon, they retreated again. All of them were in an unhappy state. They even shook off the human with disgust. Terrible emotions could sometimes be worse than contamination. Lin Wan lowered her eyes, quietly waiting for Ellie to finish her re-examination. Just as Ellie finished the re-examination and was about to withdraw her psychic threads, the large crocodile that had been lazily resting all along suddenly surged up. and bit one leg of the one who had harmed her baby. Ellie's head felt a piercing pain. She couldn't even let out a scream before being pressed against the man's chest with more extensive skin contact. An endless stream of psychic threads were being extracted from Ellie's body. Those psychic threads uncontrollably surged toward the man, continuously disappearing into his body, as if pulled by a powerful suction force, utterly inescapable. Ellie's face instantly turned deathly pale. A B-rank novice guide, before an experienced high-rank sentinel, couldn't even cry out for help, and was instantly subjected to reverse violation. Lin Wan sensed something was wrong. Flamboyant vines instantly erupted from underfoot, like several giant pythons. In an instant, the vines wrapped around the sentinel's body. His fingers exerted a slight force. The vines suddenly tightened, dragging the sentinel down toward the ground. The man, who had just been immersed in the amusement of disciplining a novice guide, was suddenly attacked, without any defense. His entire body crashed heavily onto the floor. Amidst the chaos, the sentinel instinctively entered combat mode. A snarling crocodile emerged from the void, lunging to bite at the things attacking him. But it was all too late. The vines were like agile giant serpents, either entangling its legs or coiling around its body. They even forced their way into its mouth to pull at its teeth. Though the teeth couldn't be pulled out, the crocodile's jaws clamped shut. It bit itself, drawing a mouthful of blood. The sentinel tasted the metallic tang of blood. He searched around for who had attacked him. But the White Tower Infirmary was the safest place. It was simply impossible for any suspicious person to intrude. The man roared inwardly, the muscles on his face twitching slightly with rage. The arrogant sentinel probably never dreamed that a guide would attack someone. What's happening? The loud commotion made the police officer guarding outside push the door open and enter. Seeing this, Lin Wan quickly retracted her vines. She ran over to help up Ellie, who was completely drained of strength. First to complain, the police officer, this sentinel attacked the guide. Lord Flores, his mouth full of blood, never could have imagined that one day he would also be sent to the trial room. How many times have I said? It was me who was attacked. I am the victim, Flores roared with a twisted face. Chief Judge. Griffin's icy blue eyes showed no ripple. He just watched quietly as the man threw a tantrum and acted unreasonably, causing mental damage to the guide during the medical examination. Just this one charge is enough to convict you? Who dares to convict me? I am a noble. Viscount Flores scoffed disapprovingly, as if hearing a joke. What evidence do you have that I committed mental persecution? Clearly, they had ill intentions and tried to seduce me. They obviously aren't proper guides, not even registered, yet dared to come for my re-examination. And that guides you. He is also an accomplice. I have so many exclusive guides at home. It was her who seduced me into coming here. Chief Judge, you must uphold justice for me. Griffin's cold gaze fixed on her. Truly at the end of your rope and still quibbling. Viscount, have you forgotten? The safety of guides is above any national law, regardless of the circumstances. As long as they themselves are harmed, they have the right to retaliate, whether the other party is a noble or royalty. Even the president is no exception. The heartless voice of the judge echoed in the quiet courtroom. Each word felt heavy and weighty. The last shred of hope in Flores' heart was completely shattered. Griffin stepped forward and placed the cold handcuffs on Flores' wrists. It's only half a month, no problem. Just sign it. Half a month. Flores was furious. You lowly commoners, do you know how much money our family contributes to the parliament? How dare you send me to jail? Griffin sneered. You should be grateful you were born into the Flores family. Otherwise, for the things you've done, even 10 heads wouldn't be enough to chop off. Do I need to remind you? Not long ago, the sentinel who entered Zone 5 against military orders was one of your men, wasn't he? The once arrogant man suddenly fell silent. Griffin waved his hand, and the man was taken away. If you have any more complaints, go tell the president. Lin Wan also entered the courthouse, but the place she stayed in was the VIP reception room. The person detaining her was Director Hudson. Lin Wan cautiously glanced at the gloomy face of the man opposite her, then guiltily fidgeted with her fingers. After who knows how long, a man of exceptionally handsome appearance walked in from outside the door. You can take her away now. Discipline her properly when you get back. Hudson stood up from the sofa. Thank you for today. Griffin, no need to be polite. I was just worried I didn't have a reason to arrest him. Now is just right. Griffin crossed his arms, watching Hudson with leisurely composure. On the contrary, you're in the same faction as the Flores family. Don't you have any objection to scheming against him behind his back like this? Hudson's expression didn't change in the slightest. I'm neither in the military nor in politics now. Their hands can't reach me here. Besides, these ancient, filthy vampire families ought to be reshuffled anyway. You're quite self-aware. No wonder the president trusts you so much. Griffin laughed loudly. The laughter carried a hint of unrestrained arrogance. Then, he slowly turned his gaze to the little girl on the sofa. His eyes seemed to hold a scrutinizing quality, as if observing something novel and worth exploring. Lin Wan suddenly had the illusion of being watched by a bird of prey. She felt somewhat anxious, uncertain of what to do. But Griffin gave sincere praise. Very impressive. No matter how useless that old thing is, he's still an ag. To think you actually hit him. What did you use to whip him? Is this getting praised after hitting someone? Lin Wan curiously peeked upward, only to meet Hudson's gaze. Seeing the director's even uglier expression than before, Lin Wan obediently lowered her head again. But the vines in the domain all stood up straight, turning to cast looks at that sentinel officer. This little bird has really good taste. This is my destined bird. Hudson took a slight step forward, blocking Griffin's increasingly probing gaze. Since there's nothing else, we'll be leaving first. Receiving Hudson's signal, Lin Wan quickly followed the director's footsteps. As she passed by Griffin, a gentle breeze brushed past. Lin Wan's black hair fluttered. A few strands softly landed on the man's nose tip. A unique fragrance lingered faintly around his nostrils, making Griffin's already deep eyes flash with a subtle, almost imperceptible strangeness. His gaze couldn't help but closely follow, until the young girl's figure completely disappeared into the elevator lobby. On the way back, Lin Wan still rode in Director Hudson's car. The journey was very quiet. Lin Wan, knowing she was in the wrong, didn't dare to speak. It seemed like so many times the director had come to bail her out. It was because she had hit someone. Her spiritual entity really doesn't do anything productive all day long. Ellie was directly left at the medical institute to continue healing. And that guides you. Due to taking one's own patient without authorization, to an inexperienced junior, received an administrative penalty. But compared to sentinels who often get imprisoned, the punishment guides receive is almost frighteningly light. Either getting their bonus deducted, that is to increase some counseling performance. Lin Wan sighed involuntarily. So this world has become so tolerant towards guides. After a long silence, Director Hudson finally spoke. Don't take such risks next time. Clearly, the guards are right outside the door. There's no need to put yourself in danger. Remember not to do it again in the future. Although Lin Wan was somewhat unconvinced, but still answered gloomily. I understand. Hudson glanced at Lin Wan and didn't say anything more. But in the void, a dark light flickered slightly. A black leopard fell into Lin Wan's arms. Sai's eye widened his eyes. It's Director Hudson's spiritual body. The little black leopard's body has shrunk again. Now it's just a soft, milky lump. He gently rubbed against Lin Wan's hand, as if coquettishly comforting her. It was just too adorable. The gloom in Lin Wan's heart was swept away. She cuddled the little cub in her arms, burying her face in the soft fur. Soft and fine, Lin Wan kept placing kisses on the black cub's head, ears and other places, each one filled with her overflowing doting and affection for the little one. Hudson, sitting in the driver's seat, now had a slightly flushed face. He reached out, pulled back the Black Panther cub clinging to Lin Wan's arms, and tucked it into his own mental domain. Lin Wan's kiss landed in the air. She looked somewhat resentfully at this culprit who prevented her from petting the furry creature. Hudson coughed once, before regaining his breath. If you can achieve a ranking in the league, I'll let you pet it again. This is an empty promise. Lin Wan glared alertly, as if returning to the days when she worked part-time. Her superiors often said the same to her. Outstanding guides can actively choose their own military unit. The Army Operations Department mostly consists of land-based beasts. There will be ones you like. Hudson paused. A squad suitable for you. The man seemed to have figured out all her preferences, knowing she likes furry things. So he deliberately used these to tempt her. How cunning to cunning. Back at the dorm, Lin Wan immediately started preparing for the league matters. Just thinking about being able to earn 50 credits and make some extra pocket money, Lin Wan felt full of energy. But as Lin Wan was browsing through guides, browsing and browsing, she ended up stumbling upon past gossip. The love-hate relationships between guides and sentinels. So entertaining, she loved reading it. Lin Wan got so absorbed in browsing, to the point of being unable to pull herself away, when she received a message from Ellie. I've already scouted it out. This year, the 3 teams with the highest hopes of winning the championship are: 1 is the youngest son of the Tahir family from the Land Combat Department. Lin Wan felt this surname was somewhat familiar. She searched for it on the Academy website, and ended up finding a familiar face. Lin Wan's hand trembled. Isn't that lunatic Kaiser? He's also participating, acting crazy and unpredictable. No one knows what he'll do in the next second. Kaiser was the first S-Class Sentinel Lin Wan encountered. At that time, she had just crossed over, and wasn't yet familiar with this world, when she was carelessly assigned to the treatment room. As soon as Kaiser saw her, he unbuttoned his school uniform, revealing his signature double-door physique. For them, this was already a common occurrence. But it was Lin Wan's first time witnessing such a stimulating scene firsthand. She almost had a nosebleed. She struggled to cover her nose, avoiding eye contact. She wanted to distance herself from the youth, but was squeezed by him onto the chair. Lin Wan reached out to push him away, only to have her hand grabbed instead. Lin Wan didn't know when. Her mental threads began to activate. The youth, who had been wearing a vicious smile just moments before, suddenly lost his grin. His originally firm knees instantly dropped to the floor. At that time, Lin Wan was also entering a sentinel's mental world for the first time. She saw a lifeless volcano, a desolate scene at its base, void of any vitality. Just standing there, Lin Wan could feel anxiety and unease. It was also her first time seeing those surging, completely uncontrollable vines, wandering everywhere, destroying everything. When Lin Wan's consciousness returned to reality, that sentinel was staring deathly at him, as if fixated on prey, ferocious and overbearing. He frantically spoke. "What did you do?" His voice hoarse yet tinged with barely suppressed excitement, his face wearing a nearly morbid obsession. Lin Wan's entire mind went blank. Terrified, he kept shrinking back into the chair behind him. But the youth, like an appeasing puppy, trembling as he shifted on his knees, inched forward on his knees toward Lin Wan, submissive yet forceful, till one of Lin Wan's feet pressed against his chest. Lin Wan patted his own face and cut off the memory. "I don't dare to think about it anymore." On the terminal, Ellie is still continuously sending messages to Lin Wan. This year there is another strong one who is the legitimate eldest grandson of the Chris family. Nan Yin is also the current president's nephew. Nan Yin is that two-faced green tea jellyfish. What kind of battlefield is this? Is it still too late to withdraw from the league? Lin Wan really doesn't want to encounter these two madmen again. After Lin Wan, who was troubled even while sleeping, woke up, received a bunch of messages. Hudson reminded him, if he can't find a team, then go directly to the preparation hall for random assignment, and advised him not to act impulsively. Hudson's assistant recommended a team to him. It's his nephew, a student from the Land Combat Department. The green tea jellyfish then asked Lin Wan in a hypocritical manner if he has a team yet. If not, could he consider him? There's also a stranger with a lion avatar. Sent him a bunch of ellipses. Lin Wan has a headache. After dealing with all kinds of messages, it's just anxiously waiting for the start of the preliminaries. It's better to randomly match with a team early and get it over with. But he didn't expect that as soon as he arrived at the preparation hall, he was talked about. A sentinel stared at her. "I heard you don't even know how to do mental guidance. How can you still come to participate in the league?" Lin Wan is speechless. This is also why her classmates have all found teams. Only she is the reason no one wants. Lin Wan did not mind. Instead, she followed the instructions and found the contestant registration area. The staff received Lin Wan's information and were very surprised. "This classmate, don't you have a team yet?" Generally speaking, guides are highly sought after. It's rare for someone to let the system auto-match. Lin Wan nodded. "As long as I can be randomly matched with a team, participate in one elimination round, and scrape by for some credits, that's enough. Maybe it'll be over soon and I can return to the dorm." Thinking of this, Lin Wan felt light and relaxed. Exceptionally happy. "Okay, then please wait a moment. The matching results will be displayed on the public screen in the preparation hall. Classmate, you can go wait over there first." Lin Wan obediently went to the rest area to sit and wait. As soon as she left, the staff quickly pulled out a terminal and sent a message in this league's captain's group chat. "Found a lone guide, 1 person, D rank. Looks really sweet. Who wants?" The message had just been sent for 1 second. Immediately, countless exclamation marks and messages followed. Many captains rushed to sign up. The staff typed replies while uploading Lin Wan's information. When Lin Wan's photo appeared, the previously lively group chat instantly cooled down. Each captain withdrew their sign-up messages. "This guide has no evolutionary abilities. Instead, it will drain your mental energy. It's really sinister. Whoever wants to be the sucker can take it over." The staff member glanced at the well-behaved Lin Wan. It's hard to imagine it would be as the sentinels described. Just at that moment, her terminal popped up with a call. She quickly answered it. "Yes, Your Highness." "Not yet, no." "Then let's proceed as you said." The staff member hung up the phone, quickly operated on the system, pulled up the ID information for the male infant and Kaiser, and bound them with Lin Wan's. After doing all this, the staff member still found it a bit unbelievable, giving up in a grade guide to choose a D grade 1. Is this really their Prince Chris? Could his account have been hacked? Lin Wan, on her end, did receive a message from Ellie. Earl introduced her to an air combat team. She had previously separated from Lin Wan to go mark sentinels. Temporary marking, very convenient for sensing each other's positions during matches. Ellie, however, complained gloomily to Lin Wan. "I only managed to mark 3 team members. I couldn't mark the captain and his brother at all. The level difference is just too great. I was almost drained dry just now." Speaking of which, Lin Wan doesn't even know what marking is. But thinking that she's just there to get by, she probably won't need marking anyway. Reynolds, the nephew of Director Hudson's assistant, also sent Lin Wan a message. "Uncle asked me to bring you something. If it's convenient, could you come to the restaurant?" Lin Wan saw the message and went to the restaurant. From afar, she spotted a tall and straight figure. Seeing Lin Wan, Reynolds nodded slightly. With a gentle smile on his face, he took out a small square box from his chest, handed it to Lin Wan. Lin Wan opened it. Inside was an exquisite wristwatch-like device. This is a small protective shield. If you encounter danger, you can activate it to avoid physical harm. This kind of magical energy device, Lin Wan had seen it on her classmates. Very expensive. Lin Wan carefully put the device away, returned it to Reynolds. This thing is too valuable. I can't accept it. The other party didn't expect him to hand it over. He hurriedly explained, my uncle said this is a reward from above. I'm not sure which specific matter it refers to, but I think you definitely understand. So this is actually a reward. Lin Wan accepted the thing with peace of mind. Thank you very much for making the trip for me. This is the first time I've received a gift. I will use it well. Perhaps because Lin Wan was too honest, Reynolds instead felt somewhat awkward. This isn't anything particularly rare. If you like it, after the competition ends, I'll bring you a few more. Lin Wan waved her hands repeatedly. One is enough. I usually just stay in the dormitory. I won't go to any dangerous places. And I don't need these things. Reynolds felt somewhat surprised. At first, when his uncle told him to take the initiative to contact this guide, he was actually opposed to it. Lin Wan's story had long spread throughout the entire school. But today, having seen her in person, he felt she was a bit different from the rumors. Lin Wan emitted a very elegant fragrance. Just standing by her side, Reynolds felt the gloom in his heart slowly dissipating. So, Miss Lin, have you found a team yet? If not, would you like to consider joining our team? Lin Wan was taken aback. Was this sentinel inviting her? He didn't mind her mental energy. If that was the case, she could consider it. After all, he could be considered an acquaintance. Definitely better than a random match. Just as Lin Wan was weighing the pros and cons, the preparation hall broadcasted the message that matching had ended. Lin Wan hurriedly ran out. The moment she saw the result, she felt as if her whole world had collapsed. She had actually been matched with those two lunatics. Reynolds had been following behind her the whole time. And of course also saw the matching result on the screen. He frowned, then quickly suppressed his somewhat agitated emotions. Congratulations to classmate Lin. This team is the most promising team to win the championship this year. Lin Wan had no hope of winning at all. She just wanted to get some credits. If she stayed with these two guys for a week, she felt she would be fried into dried fish. Lin Wan was about to cry. She couldn't help but look at Reynolds. In my current situation, can I still join your team? Is classmate Lin dissatisfied with this matching result? Then as long as the competition hasn't started, you can change teams. Just submit an application at the registration office. While promoting his team, Reynolds served drinks to Nanyan and Kaiser. Before reaching the registration office, a large hand reached over, gripping Reynolds' neck harshly, and pulled him aside. How dare you poach my person? You've got some nerve, kid. Hearing this voice, Lin Wan felt her scalp tingle with fear. There is substantial mental power among sentinels. The innate ability of S-rank suppression, like an invisible net, enveloping the entire preparation hall. Everyone present trembled. Reynolds was no exception. His face turned red from struggling with force. Kaiser grinned, wearing a mocking and malicious smile on his face. Want to compete with us? For people, did you ask for our opinion? Guides have the right to freely choose their teams. Lin Wan wants to choose my team. None of your business. The gentleness from earlier had completely vanished from Reynolds' face. Seeing that the other party still hadn't given up, Kaiser cursed angrily. He raised his fist, ready to teach him a lesson. The male infant stopped him. That's enough. Don't actually cause any trouble. Nanyan then looked at Reynolds, still not leaving, waiting to get beaten. Reynolds glared at the two of them, gnashing his teeth. Although somewhat unwilling, he also knew this matter had to end here. We'll see about this. The voice seemed squeezed out from between his teeth, carrying a bone-chilling coldness and hatred. After speaking, he paid no more attention to Lin Wan, turned around and left directly. Lin Wan stood in front of the two, feeling very awkward. The surrounding silence felt somewhat oppressive. She held her breath, quietly shifted her feet and ran. Where are you going? Kaiser was the first to react. He caught up to Lin Wan, scooped her up in one motion, and took her into an empty restroom. The man's body pressed tightly against Lin Wan's back. His face slowly drew close to her neck, gave a light sniff, as if confirming something. Till, after not smelling any messy scents, the gloom in his eyes finally dispersed a little. Kaiser gently stroked the hair hanging behind Lin Wan's head. His movements were soft, carrying a hint of obsession. The girl's fair neck under the lamplight glowed with a soft sheen, exuding an irresistible allure. Kaiser's gaze instantly deepened. He couldn't help but touch, gently stroking Lin Wan's faint pulse. Lin Wan screamed. The discomfort of being touched by someone of the opposite sex made her struggle and panic, wanting to break free from this overly intimate embrace. But Kaiser was like an impenetrable wall. No matter how she struggled, she couldn't break free. Not replying to my messages. Yet here you are seducing someone else. What does it have to do with you? Lin Wan thought this person was utterly unreasonable. A wave of anger surged in her heart. Kaiser's gaze fell on the small box in Lin Wan's hand. His eyes narrowed slightly. I'm 100 times better than this toy of yours. Want to try? As long as you mark me. I can be your dog too. In Kaiser, there was both possessiveness and anger born from jealousy. All these emotions intertwined, making him appear both dangerous and captivating. Finally, he couldn't resist and bit Lin Wan's neck, gently sucking on that small patch of muscle. Lin Wan instantly felt as if a current of electricity flashed through her entire body. A strange sensation spread from her neck to her whole body in an instant. A numbness tinged with an indescribable stimulation. Her body trembled slightly, uncontrollably. Her cheeks flushed with a red hue. Her breathing became rapid and disordered. She instinctively struggled, but it was of little use. Soon, she slumped weakly into Kaiser's embrace. So impatient, aren't we? A resentful voice came from the doorway. Lin Wan was dizzy and hazy. Only then did she remember there was a third person here. Nanyan had been standing at the room's entrance all along, arms crossed, his tall, slender figure leaning against the doorframe. He watched as Kaiser almost devoured the girl. A look of disdain appeared on his face. He watched quietly for a while, seeing that Lin Wan could finally bear no more. He slowly walked over. The youth carried a pleasant scent, the fresh, watery essence unique to the ocean, gently wafting over, bringing comfort and ease. He rescued Lin Wan from Kaiser's grasp. Student Lin, join our team. Kaiser and I can secure the best results for you. Two S-grade sentinels directly and bluntly extended their invitation to her. Honestly, it was hard for Lin Wan not to be tempted. After all, teaming up with such high-level sentinels meant she could practically coast straight into the final competition round, yet recalling the violent scene just now. Sorry, you'd better find someone else. Lin Wan struggled to reclaim her life, breaking free from the two men's hold with effort, warily watching the two before her. Why? Every guide hopes to team up with an S-class sentinel. Kaiser frowned, his face instantly filled with doubt. My level is too different from yours. I can't even manage marking. And I'm not much use anyway. A guide with a higher level is more suitable for you. I'm sorry if I scared you just now. Lanyan gave a slight bow, a sincere look of apology on his face. Marking actually has no necessary relation to level. As long as we open up enough to you, you can mark us. And even without marking, we have enough strength to take you to the top. In terms of individual combat, the entire Sentinel Academy's strength is inferior to Kaiser's. To speak of the king of combat, that must be the lion. Kaiser's spiritual entity is the rare golden Kruger lion, legendarily the largest in size, most formidable in combat power beast species. Rumors say the Tahil family is the most powerful combat force under the president, precisely because of their family's generationally inherited Kruger-type spiritual entity. Every family member possessing this spiritual entity in battle is like a war god descending. At their peak, they are said to be able to annihilate an entire regiment alone. As if to verify Lanyan's words, a large lion with golden mane, majestic and awe-inspiring, suddenly appeared in the room. The lion that had disdained to emerge even when facing Reynolds moments before. At this moment, it lowered its furry head, circling gracefully by Lin Wan's feet. Then, as if confirming something, with a snap, it turned into a cub and leaped into Lin Wan's arms. Seeing this scene, Kaiser on the sofa snorted. Rarely did he, on that always frantic, handsome face, show a touch of shyness. So cute, so furry. Lin Wan was already screaming internally. The vines in her mental domain shot upright, even more delighted than when she saw Hudson's Black Panther. Take it, quick, take it. If you don't take it, you're not a Blue Star native. The vines chattered noisily, already eager and ready, almost jumping out of Lin Wan's psychic landscape. Blue Eagle, using the changes in the plants, had long investigated Lin Wan's preferences clearly. Seeing this scene, he approached the young girl, confident of victory. Miss Lin, please accept us, okay? Even a temporary mark will do. This way, we can sense your presence anywhere. A marked sentinel, even temporarily, cannot accept another guide for a short time. In this self-recommendation, they offered their utmost sincerity. Lin Wan felt somewhat troubled. She didn't want to be with these two people, but she was a bit tempted by their spiritual entities. Damn it, she really was a terrible woman. Lin Wan was tangled up in such thoughts. The little lion saw it, and immediately nuzzled the tip of its nose against his palm. That simple, unassuming look seemed to say, hurry and pet me. Lin Wan finally couldn't hold back this time. She reached out and stroked his flowing, thick mane. The little lion let out a comfortable purr like a cat's. Lin Wan curiously rubbed its ears, then scratched under its chin, just as Lin Wan was completely enchanted by the little lion. Right at that moment, Lanyan took hold of one of her hands. Mark us. From now on we'll listen to everything you say. Lanyan's face was close to hers. His warm breath lightly brushed her cheek, carrying a lazy yet captivating aura. The originally clear look in Lin Wan's eyes suddenly glimmered with a trace of confusion. She stood there dazed, as if she had lost consciousness. She obeyed the other's request, stretched out a hand and pressed it against the youth's waist. Lan Yin let out a timely sigh. Then the handsome nobleman chuckled softly, continuing the hypnosis. That's it. Pour your spiritual energy into us until you leave your mark. Kaiser also quietly walked over. He took Lin Wan's hand and placed it on his own chest. In the dim room, a green light began to flicker and rise. Lin Wan's hands were grasped by a blue and a red youth. They led him to explore, reaching his most sensitive depths. An inexplicable surge of heat flowed through Kaiser's body. After many days, he was once again enveloped by this scalding sensation. So excited he was almost drooling. And Lin Wan, hypnotized by the siren, remained in an unconscious state. Her whole person was like a doll. Even after being marked, she was not released. Nan Yin's body pressed tightly against hers, all over, damp and glistening. He took her neck into his mouth bit by bit, licking and sucking, reluctant to leave for a long time. Kaiser had been kneeling on the floor in front of the sofa. The girl's legs hung weakly before him. One shoe had come off at some point, revealing sparkling, plump toes. He remembered the last time he had pressed forward step by step. In her panic, the girl had pressed her foot against his chest. Before he could do anything, he was slapped across the face. This time, Kaiser carefully lifted it up. Couldn't help but lower his head. Ellie was shocked to see Lin Wan's state. Wan, what have you been doing? How did you end up like this? Hearing her friend's voice, Lin Wan finally came to her senses. What just happened? It felt like a blackout. She carefully pieced it together. Only then did her sluggish consciousness become clear again. Those two guys actually hypnotized her. The blue-silver deep-sea jellyfish possesses part of the siren's bloodline. Its initial skill is to release hypnotic sound waves. Those with similar skills include some insect-type spiritual bodies. They can, without anyone knowing, make the opponent's consciousness become blurry, and then fall defenselessly into their traps. These are all masters at playing with people's minds. No wonder Ellie told her not to get close to these people. Their methods are really dirty. The league preliminaries have officially begun. The event organizers have prepared a separate stand for the guides. The stand is surrounded by special glass for isolation. This also allows the guides to breathe easily. Lin Wan walked in here, but the surrounding atmosphere was not very friendly. Everyone looked at her with strange eyes, making her feel uncomfortable all over. She actually stole Ire's sentinel. Too much. How can there be such a despicable person? Lowlifes are just lowlifes, with no quality at all. The sounds of slander came one after another. You guys are going too far. Wan was assigned to the team through free matching. It was given to her by the system. How can you say she stole it? Straight talking Ellie says what she thinks. Seeing that someone still spoke up for Lin Wan, those people became even angrier. Ira is the crown prince's fiancée, recognized by Her Majesty the Queen. Her status is so noble. President will naturally assign the strongest sentinel of the competition to him. Who knows what tricks this lowborn used to make Ira fall into the free matching pool. Free matching. This is a place only guides nobody wants would appear. What a shame this is. It's practically a laughingstock in the entire noble circle. Just thinking about having to treat those lowly sentinels. And Guide Ira makes her feel sick all over. That's why she has been crying until now. She blames all the fault on Lin Wan. She already didn't like her. Now she hates her enough to grind her teeth. We'll duel. I want to see why Lan Yin and the others chose you. And not me. Lin Wan's head was spinning. She said not to get involved with those two lunatics, right? Knew nothing good would come of it. And here comes the trouble, isn't it? Really? So annoying, why does everyone have to pick on him? Such a weak guide, Lin Wan shouted loudly. She refuses to duel with anyone privately. No little and no academic credits. These two sentinels were clearly obtained by her openly and honestly. Through free matching. There are records at the registration office. Why say she stole someone? What era is this? Still playing the mere resignation game. If these two sentinels are people from your team, then you should go find them, rather than coming to find me. Smart women deal with men. Foolish women give other women a hard time. Lin Wan unceremoniously retorted. Ira was so angry her face turned ashen. Several times she wanted to charge forward and tear Lin Wan apart. But each time she was stopped by those around her. The preliminary competition was about to begin. The president had already started taking the stage. Everyone's attention focused on the big screen. This was the second time Lin Wan had seen the president's face. Young and handsome. Compared to Nan Yin, his refined features appeared somewhat more mature. This uncle and nephew really do look alike. The Chris family has always been famous for beauty and intelligence. The spiritual heritage of the deep-sea demon gives each of them a mysterious and extraordinary temperament. The man smiled courteously and greeted the students below the stage. Every gesture and movement exuded elegance and composure. His own strength and noble status made him shine like a brilliant star among the crowd. Radiant, truly worthy of being the one Her Majesty the Queen fancied. The eighth male servant. President Edward is just too handsome. Ellie was once again beside herself with infatuation. The eighth Lin Wan felt like she had heard something she shouldn't have. Didn't you know? The queen has many lovers, but she has only ever had one husband in name. That was the previous president. At the time, Edward was still just the commander of the Imperial Guard. But after the queen fell madly in love with him, she clamored to get a divorce. This enraged the former president so much that he stormed out of the house. He went down to the high-level pollution zone and never returned. Lin Wan was shocked. Are royal family scandals always this explosive? This incident caused quite a stir back then. Everyone speculated that the reason she could successfully rise among the queen's many lovers, aside from the distinctive beauty of the Chris family, was also their unique boudoir techniques. About tentacle play, right? That thing, what's it called? Lin Wan blushed, her heart racing. What kind of world is this? She doesn't get it. She doesn't understand anything. She's still young. Ellie said with a giggle. Now you're teamed up with Nan Yin too, huh? This week you can verify for yourself. See if their deep-sea tentacle play is really as legendary as they say. Before Ellie could finish her sentence, Lin Wan covered her mouth with a slap of her hand. Shut up already. There are so many people here. Lin Wan glanced out of the corner of her eye and saw the live stream camera aimed at the guide's seats. She quickly let go of Ellie, reminding her to watch her expression. Ire also suppressed the resentment in her eyes and replaced it with an elegant, proper smile. She tilted her head slightly, striking a charming pose, every gesture exuding the demeanor of a noble lady. The camera knows how to capture the hype. After filming her, Ire again aimed at another on the guide seats, namely Guide Earl. The guide group is generally female-dominated. Male guides themselves are very rare. Thus Earl's appearance once again triggered a wave of enthusiasm among the audience. The young master of the Flores Dukes family has long been widely known. Noble female sentinels from families of the same class have long trampled the threshold for marriage proposals flat. Earl Nandy good-naturedly greeted the camera. The blonde, blue-eyed youth's expression remained somewhat faint, yet he had already dazzled a large wave of female fans. The camera felt there wasn't much heat and was just about to leave when it spotted Lin Wan, perhaps somewhat uncertain. The lens hesitated for a few seconds, then scanned Lin Wan up and down. Carefully and meticulously, Lin Wan's smile was almost stiffening her face. She always felt this camera was intentional. It had circled around her so many times, yet showed no sign of leaving. She wasn't looking at the terminal, so naturally didn't know that with this appearance of hers, the gossip surrounding her was no less than that around the president. The pace of the preliminary competition was fast. A total of 2.5 days. Nearly 300 teams needed to compete to determine the final 10 squads entering the contaminated zone to compete for the ultimate championship. Most teams consisted of 6 to 8 people. A team like Lin Wan's with Sentinels plus guides, only having 3 people, was truly rare. On the entire ranking list, it is simply a thorn-like existence. Lin Wan knew it would be fast, but she didn't expect it to be this fast. She had just watched Ellie's team win the match when she received a message on her terminal. Lin Wan had just been forcibly added to Kaiser's terminal contacts. Finally, the Golden Lion, who was no longer a stranger, sent a message. Baby, I'm about to take the stage. You must watch. Lin Wan looked toward Arena 6. In the vast Colosseum, only Kaiser stood alone. Yet he radiated an innate aura of dominance and untamed spirit. He stood there for a long time, but no opponent stepped onto the stage. The host waited quietly for a moment, seeing that the preparation time had ended, directly declared Kaiser's side the winner. Lin Wan's lips couldn't help but tremble slightly, unable to believe they had won just like that. She looked uncertainly at the electronic screen again. Be baby's dog. Team achieves victory. Several glaringly large words nearly blinded her eyes. Who is Kaiser being a dog for? Someone shouted. For a moment, the entire arena fell into a collective silence. Only then did everyone regain their senses, whispering and exchanging words in low voices. Nan Yin, sitting in the VIP room, leisurely sipped his coffee. He had long anticipated this outcome, so he appeared quite composed. Why didn't you follow my arrangements? Right at that moment, a cold, stern voice came from behind Nan Yin. Nan Yin put down the coffee cup in his hand, stood up and bowed to the visitor. The visitor was none other than President Edward, his uncle. The person who had just been wearing a warm smile now had a serious expression on his face, clearly showing extreme dissatisfaction with Nan Yin's behavior. Facing his uncle's questioning, Nan Yin was not very frightened. He still maintained proper etiquette. Nephew thinks Guide Lin is more capable than Guide Ire. Based on him being just a D level? Edward frowned. Obviously, he had also read all of Lin Wan's information. The queen selected Ire, who represents the old noble faction, as the crown princess. The intention is already very clear. The former president's influence is still deeply rooted. Their people are infiltrated in every corner of the hospital. It is that bunch of old fellows proposed to have his nephew serve as Ire's guard. They intend to make Lan Yin become Ire's lover. But Ire is already the crown prince's fiancé, and the crown prince is the biological son of the previous president. The intention behind this couldn't be more obvious. But Edward has no choice. The Juniors League tournament is just a minor matter. But the power struggle involved behind it is intricate. Every step he takes must be cautious. But he didn't expect, on the day of the league tournament, that Nanyan would make such a decision. I have an impression of this little girl. My chief of staff even rewarded him with an energy tool. Nanyan instantly reacted. The wristwatch Reynolds gave to Lin Wan was from his uncle, not long ago. Hudson also reported a very interesting matter. I'll explain it to you in detail when I have time. For the next few days, try getting along with him first. I won't pursue this matter any further, because the schedule is very packed. Edward left after just a few words. The lounge was left with only Nanyan again. He thought for a while, then still opened his terminal and sent out a message. Time flew by until 5 p.m. The first round of elimination matches was already halfway through. I'm so tired from sitting, my back is killing me. Ellie stood up and stretched her muscles. Let's go grab something to eat. Lin Wan studied the match schedule. Regarding the insanely competitive arrangement on the chart, she genuinely felt impressed. Won't this go on past midnight after all the matches? Oh, don't worry. Anyway, these sentinels are all extremely energetic. There are plenty of people who don't sleep at night. Ellie simply didn't think this was a big deal. Lin Wan glanced over the teams competing in the evening and realized she knew quite a few of them. For example, Reynolds' team was scheduled around 8 p.m. Lin Wan struggled over whether to send Reynolds a message to check in on him. Because of her, he took a beating for nothing. She really felt somewhat sorry about it. But when she pulled up Reynolds' terminal page and saw the word stranger, she instantly broke into a sweat of shame. Well, she just directly deleted him as a friend. It seems she really had offended him. Lin Wan didn't dwell on it anymore and simply closed his page. Meanwhile, in a corner somewhere outside, Kaiser pushed the already powerless Reynolds to the ground, snatched his terminal, unlocked it facing his face, and without hesitation deleted Lin Wan as a friend. Go back and tell that leopard to keep his dirty ideas off her. She is our guide now. Reynolds struggled to get up from the ground, his face filled with unwillingness and anger. Kaiser, we've never interfered with each other. Are you really going to oppose us over a guide? Even if Lin Wan is special. In Reynolds' eyes, she's just a D-level guide at most. Though it feels a bit regrettable. It shouldn't warrant Kaiser targeting him like this. After all, in this world, no matter how precious guides are, a D-level really doesn't have much of a future. Probably after graduation, she'll be assigned to the border, while they are destined to enter politics, with a future beyond most people's reach. Kaiser's expression was ice-cold. As he took a step forward, a powerful sense of oppression rushing over, Reynolds couldn't hold on any longer. He spat out a mouthful of thick, pungent blood. Kaiser couldn't even be bothered to acknowledge him anymore. He uttered a single word of trash and left without looking back. On Lin Wan's side, she was preparing to go to the restaurant to eat with Ellie, but unexpectedly ran into Ire on the way. Ire was standing in a spot far from camera surveillance. The anger he had been suppressing all day finally exploded. Lin Wan, you come here. Lin Wan, whose name was called, hesitated for a moment, but ultimately walked over. When dealing with an unreasonable colleague, if you don't go along with their wishes from the start, it can become quite troublesome later on. If it can be handled early, then better to handle it early. Lin Wan followed Ire to another private corridor. Once they reached a place with no one around, Ire directly released his own spiritual entity. It was a beautiful snow goose. Show me your spiritual entity. The vines, silent all day, upon seeing this fluffy creature, instantly became restless and eager to move. Lin Wan tried hard to restrain these branches. Haven't you seen my spiritual entity before? Why do you suddenly want to see it now? Stop the nonsense, just take it out when I tell you to take it out. Ire looked thoroughly displeased. Lin Wan felt somewhat helpless, but still summoned the vines. I'll let you see it. Then you're not allowed to bother me anymore. The excessively lively spiritual entity. The shop owner finally let himself out. Can't help but want to stroll around. There's still one, already with ill intentions, swung towards that snow crocodile. But it just had this thought. Was immediately grabbed by the neck by Lin Wan. Pulled back. This vine was caught off guard. Almost had its breath cut off. Boss, it hurts a lot. I didn't do anything. Why are you pulling me? Lin Wan in the mental landscape warned him, you better behave when you lift your butt. I know what you want to do. The other branches watched with schadenfreude. The slender, winding vine body, occasionally twisting into different English letters. If you look carefully, the cursing is quite dirty. Ira looked at these ordinary daughter plants, weak and slender. They have no ability to grow on their own, can only obtain nutrients for growth by parasitizing others. But she always felt that Lin Wan's spiritual body was a bit different. Once in class, she sparred with Lin Wan, behind these vines. In the depths of the mist, there seems to be a terrifying entity, so she wanted to verify it. This made Lan Yin rather give up her own team and choose this person's ability. Let's compete right here. You bring out all your abilities. Ire looked at these foolish and tasteless ones, couldn't help but clench her hands, gave an order to his own spiritual entity. Immediately, this plump, white-blood malevolent spiritual entity launched an attack warning against Lin Wan. Such a chubby little bird. Looks delicious at first glance. Boss, I want it roasted. Not braised, preferably. The vines chattered away. Lin Wan couldn't take it anymore. She directly recalled her spiritual entity. Haven't you had enough comparing over so many days of competition? If you really want to compare, then see you on the battlefield. But that new teammate you matched with won't get eliminated in the preliminaries, will they? After throwing down this highly provocative remark, Lin Wan strode off with large steps, angering Ire so much she stomped her feet on the spot. In the evening, Lin Wan watched a few more matches. A team that assembled multiple spiritual entities from sea, land, and air. The Earl team, unheard of for sending only one sentinel. This sentinel's spiritual entity was quite strange. It was his own shadow, just loved messing with people. He actually hid his intentions until the very end, then slipped into the opponent's shadow, eliminated the opposing Reynolds team one by one. But their team was uniformly all cheetahs. Cheetahs are born hunting experts, whether in one-on-one or group fights. The opponents were no match. And when Ire took the field, the venue exploded instantly. Never before had a guide appeared in the preliminary matches, scaring the entire team into abandoning all plans. All members took the field. The black bear that attracted firepower in the vanguard charged like a werewolf. The sea eagle adept at long-range attacks. The plant-type spiritual entity Visteria. Various spiritual entities were released, instantly filling the vast battlefield to the brim. The opponents were also cannibals, but they didn't have a leader. Unlike Ire's dazzling array of spiritual entities, theirs was a uniform team of dogs. German shepherds, border collies, huskies, Akitas, Dobermans. At the very back of Ire's wolf hunting team, there was even a short and chubby little corgi. Lin Wan instantly felt overjoyed. This was his ideal team. So many fluffy ones. Although their individual combat abilities were weak, they possessed strong teamwork, making them evenly matched with Ire's team. However, Ire was chosen as the crown princess. Naturally, she had her unique qualities. A white light glowed in her hands. Pure white spiritual threads connected to the black bear. The sentinel Uldred's body suddenly stiffened. Then the white threads entered his body. His injuries instantly vanished, and his spiritual power was mostly restored. Witnessing this situation, the audience erupted in cheers once again. Praises for Ire resounded throughout the stands. Being able to instantly replenish a sentinel's spiritual power in battle, while simultaneously connecting to 5 sentinels, truly opened Lin Wan's eyes. At the same time, I also looked down on my own vines. On the stage, Hey Dongking launched its final strike. Its wings swept out waves of wind blades, blowing opponents one by one out of the arena. The short-legged corgi gave a little hop, originally intending to dodge the wind blades, but accidentally leaped into the electric net and turned completely into a charred, blackened roast chicken. The gentle Visteria spirit extended a vine from its body and politely escorted this corgi out. Without any suspense, Ire's team won. The entire audience was applauding for her. The first round of the league's preliminary matches finally concluded. On the internet, everyone was discussing Ire's battle today. Related topics quickly topped the trends on major social platforms. A netizen posted a clip of Ire casting her skill. The moment soft light enveloped her teammates was praised as dreamlike healing magic. Countless people praised her outstanding ability. Many students from the Sentinel Academy also swarmed in with all kinds of praise and posted about the free match pool incident online. For a while, phrases like a rank elephant island betrayed by teammate due to grouping error, forced to participate in preliminaries, flooded the entire internet. Ire was already quite well known originally. Now, after just one preliminary match, her popularity completely exploded. Many people who didn't even follow the league learned about this incident. Lin Wan had just returned to the dormitory building when someone called out to stop her. Lin Wan, your photo has been posted online. It was an unfamiliar classmate. He held his terminal forward. Lin Wan immediately saw that personal photo of herself. Due to regulations, it is not allowed in public to discuss negative information unfavorable to guides. So these people created a private channel. Many people are saying bad things about you. Lin Wan quickly skimmed through the chat content inside. Most of it said she used some improper means to take away Ire's to S-Class Sentinels. The evidence was someone exposed that previously a guard used chains to lock up Kaiser, forcing him away from Lin Wan, saying the people she hooked up with were numerous. The screen was filled with unspeakable language. Those malicious speculations and attacks surged toward her like raging tides. The exclusion and isolation from small class cliques she could still handle calmly. But the malice sweeping over the internet like a storm was the first time she felt pressure. Lin Wan, don't get agitated either. Do you want me to help explain for you? The classmate, seeing her ugly expression, was very worried. Explain what? Lin Wan looked at this female classmate, her eyes glimmering with a dark light. Sensitive vines had already detected the emotions radiating from her. Serves you right to be scolded. Shameless woman. Best to be scolded to the point of never daring to show your face in public again. I'll expose the photos too. Let's see if you still dare to show up at the competition venue tomorrow. Those real thoughts hidden beneath false concern spread through the air like filthy undercurrents. The Vines shook their heads in disdain. Lin Wan sneered. No need, some people just want to see me make a fool of myself. After saying that, he took out his terminal and without hesitation reported this private channel. Someone is scheming deliberately. He can't fall into the trap. If he explains, it'll only make things look worse. Playing right into the other party's hands. Say she's of dubious origin. Say she stole someone else's sentinel using underhanded means. Then she'll show them just how underhanded she can be. Lin Wan sent a message to Kaiser. What time is our match tomorrow? The other probably didn't expect that she would message him at this time. He didn't have time to type. First sent a string of ellipses over. Lin Wan frowned, still wondering what this meant. Another message came. 10 a.m. Our team needs to all be present. But when the time comes, you and Nanyin just find a couple chairs, sit and watch from the sidelines. I can handle everything alone. Gotta say. Although Kaiser is a bit crazy. But at times like this, he really is quite useful. Lin Wan could imagine it. This tall man squats on the ground like a cat. The way he responded to her message last time, she couldn't help but reply with a head-patting emoji. Duke Ned's mansion. The elderly Duke sees the overwhelming news online. Already grinning from ear to ear, he sits in the spacious and luxurious study. Those calculating eyes gleam with triumphant light. This could also be considered a blessing in disguise. The butler also wears a smile. Kriska doesn't know what's good for him. Your Grace has gone this far. Yet Nanyin still didn't agree to team up with Miss Iyer. Now the outcome of the competition is no longer important. Miss Iyer has already gained prestige in the hearts of the people. The Duke has always been training Miss Iyer as the future princess consort. Now there is finally some achievement. The Queen should be happy to see this news too. The Duke lights a cigar, exhaling thick smoke. In the most private of territories, he finally reveals a triumphant smile. This night is destined to be sleepless for many. Lin Wan just returned to the dormitory when Dean Hudson sends a message. You'll be playing in tomorrow's match. Right, have you seen the opponent team? Though Lin Wan finds it a bit strange that Dean Hudson's message came too quickly. He still replies, saw the opponent's name, called I love knitting sweaters. Hudson explained to Lin Wan, this is a team skilled in mental control. There are some troublemakers who specifically do outrageous things. They are good at using psychic power to manipulate, causing people to fall into nightmares, fabricating fear, drawing out the opponent's hidden consciousness. If a person's psychic power is too weak, they are very likely to be toyed with until they break down. Lin Wan didn't expect that his first time on the field would be so difficult. It makes one somewhat scared. But Hudson didn't think their trio would lose. The deep-sea kraken also has similar abilities. Hide behind the male infant. Just don't be caught by them. Thank you, Lin Wan just. After typing these few words, suddenly thought of something. And continued typing. Director. Will there be side effects after deep bonding with a sentinel? I recently keep dreaming of some intermittent scenes. And some unfamiliar people. Hudson somewhat understood. When a guide enters a sentinel's landscape and is peeked at, some of their memories might be affected. But it's not serious. Slowly, it will automatically digest. Lin Wan breathed a sigh of relief. That's good. That lizard is really too disgusting and terrifying. Don't want to dream about it anymore. That lizard is the king beast of Pollution Zone No. 5. Not long ago, it suddenly woke up and collapsed. We suspect that there were human factors that stimulated it. We are still investigating the specific reason. Lin Wan thought of that scene he had dreamed. My teammate who was humiliated died so tragically. I feel somewhat upset inside. And when I think back to the chat contents in the private channel, those piercing words still echo in his ears to this day. This world, the gap between nobles and commoners, is even greater than he imagined. The day before the second match, Lin Wan browsed the forums. He went through all the information related to psychic-type sentinels. Indeed, they were not quite sane lunatics. And though the first match hadn't even started yet, spectators had already packed the place until it was watertight. All because another guide would be participating in the competition today. Lin Wan followed behind Kaiser and Nanyin, and slowly entered the venue amidst a wave of cheers. Surrounding discussions rose and fell in succession. He looked so well-behaved and pure. Did he really snatch Ayasama's sentinel? Judging by the face alone, it's somewhat understandable if he managed to take him away. The person beside immediately frowned, and reproached with displeasure. How could you say such a thing? Are you worthy of Ayasama? He's just AD level guide. How can he compare to Ayasama? Nanyin frowned, clearly having also heard the discussion. He softly apologized. It was my recklessness. I didn't prioritize considering Lin's situation. I've already blocked that channel. After the match ends, I will formally hold a press conference to clarify this misunderstanding. Caesar, on the other hand, wore a look of disdain. We never agreed to team up with that woman. She was just wishful thinking on her own. Dared to pressure us with her status. This time we'll teach her a proper lesson. Lin Wan withdrew her gaze, sweeping across the spectator stands. It's fine, let them misunderstand if they want. It's just that today's opponents are also very strong. How should we fight? Speaking of this, Nanyin was very cautious. He warned Lin Wan. During the match, absolutely do not look into the opponent's eyes. Lin Wan nodded. Her vines could sense the emotions around her. Not using her eyes wouldn't make much difference. At worst, she could just close her eyes. Soon, the opposing team also entered the arena. That was a squad dressed in bizarre attire. The leader was exceptionally handsome. However, what he wore seemed to be a dress. Lin Wan couldn't help but peek out from behind Nanyin, examining this person's clothing. Not knowing what material the person's clothes were made of. They looked unbelievably soft, with long, flowing hair. And wearing a dress, seen from a distance, he truly resembled a tall, beautiful woman. Except that around his neck, he wore an electric shock collar. This collar Kaiser had also worn, indicating that this person posed a very high level of danger, needing to stay away. Ming Wan then looked at the two people beside him. One was a definite hunk of a handsome man, yet on his head he wore a cartoon bee hairband. The bee looked quite lifelike. The other's clothing and behavior were normal, but his eyes were multicolored, brilliant like a kaleidoscope, probably sensing that Lin Wan was looking at him. That sentinel slightly turned his head. His kaleidoscope-like eyes narrowed slightly. Lin Wan instantly felt an inexplicable sharpness, as if aware that her consciousness had left her body. Outside, for an instant, she lost her awareness momentarily. Nanyin promptly pulled her back. That was the 5 poison moth, spirit entity. They not only possess eyes that can bewilder opponents, but are also highly sensitive to smells. Hide behind me. Do not come out. As soon as Nanyin finished speaking, the whistle for the match blew. He summoned his spiritual entity. A beautiful and eerie blue jellyfish appeared on the competition field. The moment the jellyfish saw Lin Wan, it extended several tentacles to wrap around her body, then intimately nuzzled against her. The blue jellyfish still remembered her. If it weren't for the battle, she would definitely have shrunk herself into a piece. A beautiful skirt hem obediently clinging to Lin Wan's waist. Nanyin unleashed his first skill. Illusory jellyfish. Invisible and intangible sound waves emitted from the tentacles. A moth flapped its wings, its dazzling patterns glowing brightly, directly counteracting it. The arena did not present an earth-shaking, awe-inspiring scene, but this was a contest between two sentinels skilled in mental control. Their battle quietly commenced in the intangible mental domain. The previously noisy audience in the arena seemed to sense this intangible tension. All fell silent. Everyone held their breath, eyes fixed intently on the arena. Amidst the tension, Kaiser summoned the golden giant lion. Its roar shocked the entire arena, instantly shattering the silence. It roared and charged toward the leading captain. The sentinel named Aniclimax showed not a trace of panic on his face. He forcefully pushed off with both legs, leaping high into the air, easily avoided the lion's first round of attack. Mid-air, he summoned his spiritual form, a giant spider. From its abdomen, it spewed strands of silk as white and pure as silver. In the blink of an eye, the golden lion was wrapped up tight. Alec landed steadily, looking at the bound lion. A mocking smile curled at the corner of his mouth. I found you. Disgusting bug, little kitten. Kaiser's golden eyes instantly lit up. His psychic energy suddenly erupted. The giant golden lion opened its massive maw, gathering a ball of flame from its throat, and shot it toward Alec. Alec severed the silk threads at the fastest speed. Then his figure flashed like lightning. Narrowly dodging the oncoming ball of fire, Kaiser chased after Alec, leaping into the air. But halfway, was intercepted by a muscular hunk wearing a bee hairband. Like a meat shield, he bore half of Kaiser's gravity, then swung a fist in retaliation, hurling Kaiser back to the ground. Kaiser rolled once on the ground, only then barely stabilizing his body. Little kitten, haven't seen you in days. How did you get weaker? Been busy licking the guide's heels. Alec taunted. He opened the spider's abdomen again. This time his spider silk was like a goddess scattering flowers, continuously spewing out, weaving into a white net in the air, firmly trapping Kaiser inside. Look at the sweater I wear upon for you. Do you still like it? Watching the trapped prey, Alec finally laughed without restraint. His pale face was completely permeated with an eerie aura. Wearing my sweater. Have a wonderful dream, kitty. Alec's purple pupils emitted a dark light. The spider web wrapped around Caesar suddenly glowed. Then Kaiser's golden color instantly lost its luster. This is the nightmare spider's skill, dream weaving. It can instantly invade a sentinel's mental landscape, and then create a beautiful dream for them. What the content of this dream is like depends entirely on Alec's preferences. Kaiser's originally vacant face suddenly flushed red. Unbearable panting sounds came from his mouth. Let me see what you did. Alec smiled maliciously. His gaze turned toward Lin Wan hiding behind Nanyin. So you most want her to do this kind of thing to you? He lifted a hand to elegantly cover his lips and smiled. His mysterious purple eyes shimmered with endlessly malicious light. Should I make you cry out and let her know? As his voice fell, the mind-controlled Kaiser suddenly moaned. He was seen kneeling on the ground with vacant eyes. Just like that, whip me. Good boy Kaiser seemed to have completely lost himself. A maddened smile appeared on his face. Without a shred of dignity in front of so many people, striking a shameful pose, the entire scene fell silent. Not a single person dared to speak. Yet their eyes all flickered with barely suppressed excitement. They all turned their lenses towards the utterly humiliated Kaiser. At that moment, the giant jellyfish suddenly emitted an even deeper, gloomier blue light. Its umbrella-like top began to expand infinitely, like a massive shadow rapidly spreading out. In the blink of an eye, it covered the entire venue. Nan Yin swiftly forced back the mental power of the 5 Venoms crocodile sentry and unleashed another invisible shockwave, flinging him to the edge of the arena. The 5 Venoms crocodile sentry, his mental power severely damaged, was momentarily unable to get up. Afterward, the Blue Eagle's target quickly shifted towards Alec. Countless jellyfish tentacles shot out, like venom-coated blades, carving cold trajectories through the air. The yellow and black bee sentry once again blocked the strike for Alec, though it appeared exceptionally fragile. It was the tank of this team. Nan Yin simply aimed at him instead. The tentacles coiled around the bee sentry, and then fiercely constricted. The bee sentry, who had been very quiet all along, suddenly let out a pained groan. Then, a large amount of yellow fluid was squeezed out from his chest. Nan Yin and Lin Wan were speechless. The jellyfish tentacles silently released the sentry. The two of them. Would you like to taste the fine honey produced by Andrew? Eating it will bring you immense happiness. While manipulating Kaiser, Alex still couldn't resist teasing in that mocking tone. Lin Wan felt her entire worldview was about to shatter. Little bees that produce honey. Just what kind of people are these? The vines hiding in the mental landscape finally went wild at this moment. They all emerged, eager to get a good look at this rare sentinel. Lin, can you release Kaiser from the dream? Nan Yin asked quietly from the side. I can, but how do I do it? It's simple, you've already marked him. You enter Kaiser's dream through the mark, then just drive that spider out. Try it, Lin Wan said, pulling out Kaiser's mark from her own mental landscape, perhaps because the other trusted or desired her deeply. In any case, she felt her mental thread slip in very smoothly this time. Lin Wan's consciousness grew somewhat blurry, as if wrapped in an intangible mist. With unsteady steps, she arrived at a dim, hazy room tinged with ambiguous colors. As soon as she stepped inside, thick smoke enveloped her face. The smoke was like a light veil, yet carried a hazy, elusive texture, shrouding the entire space in a dreamlike illusion. In the center of the room lay a wide, soft bed. The cushions on the bed were scattered randomly, as if someone had just been lazily resting there. The air was mixed with a faint scent of perfume and tobacco. The two smells intertwined, creating an atmosphere that was intoxicating, yet somewhat unsettling. What kind of dream was this? Lin Wan wondered as he slowly walked deeper into the thickening fog. Soon he saw on the sofa in the corner of the room a young girl wearing a sexy dress. The girl's skin faintly glowed with a light blush. The girl clearly wasn't using much force, yet she made the head of the S-Glass Sentinel bow down to the dust. The sensitive Sentinel's nose was filled entirely with the girl's scent. The girl was clearly humiliating him. The once majestic and mighty lion was now obedient like a kitten, and was still intermittently whimpering, unwilling to let go. Stop it, Lin Wan couldn't watch anymore, unable to hold back his furious outburst, especially when he saw the girl on the sofa had his own appearance. He felt like he wanted to die. What was all this nonsense? Lin Wan used a psychic thread to viciously yank at Kaiser's mark. Then he summoned vines, and without any courtesy, charged towards the Lin Wan opposite him. The girl on the sofa, seeing someone intrude, was slightly startled at first, then let out a tinkling laugh. That laughter was like silver bells, yet it carried a hint of eeriness. She moved as fast as lightning, swiftly flipping backward. In the blink of an eye, she hid behind the sofa. At the same time, the vines controlled by Lin Wan, like agile long snakes, shot fiercely toward the girl, but missed. The vines, having failed to hit, flexibly changed direction in midair, and attacked fiercely once again. Classmate, you're not quite like the rumors say. Are you really D-rank? The girl's voice was exactly your actin. How about joining our team as a guide? Every day you can have countless beautiful dreams, and endless honey to drink. We can also bear many little babies for you. Lin Wan was about to explode with anger. This shameless creature just used her face to do shameful things to Kaiser, and now dares to say such embarrassing words in front of her. While dodging the vines, Arachne kept turning her head from time to time to glance at Kaiser, who was still bound, her eyes filled with pride and perverse excitement. A giant spider's phantom appeared behind Arachne. Deep purple light swirled in her eyes, exceptionally dazzling. With just a brief glance, Lin Wan felt dizzy and lightheaded. The opponent's mental energy was truly too powerful. Lin Wan felt unprecedented pressure. Come on, classmate, join us as well. I will give you the most wonderful night. The spider's hypnotic voice sounded. Spider silk, like smoke and mist, quietly wrapped around her body. Lin Wan closed her eyes, then let the vines probe the spider's emotions, setting aside the superficial temptation. The vines received the most genuine feelings. This guide is a bit delicious. Really want to make her wear the little clothes I wove. The scent is so fragrant. Want to mate. Want to give birth to children for her. All the hallucinatory allure in the air. Amidst these sincere inner voices, all vanished without a trace. The deeper Lin Wan delved into the heart, the more she felt violated. This spider is truly too perverted. She extended her vines and activated the skill parasitize. Instantly, a faint purple hue flowed across these spider threads. The vines continuously absorbed energy from these spider threads, and the ends of the spider threads connected to that giant spider. The sentry-wearing Lin Wan's mask suddenly moaned. His entire body seemed to lose all strength in an instant. He could no longer maintain. Lin Wan's appearance reverted to its original form. He weakly lay on the web he had woven, trembling and convulsing. A face within the dimness revealed an expression of both pain and excitement. What kind of feeling is this? Alec gasped heavily for breath, purple pupils fixed tightly on the girl at the center. His eyes were filled with a possessive desire as if he had spotted his prey. So this cat has been eating such good food these past few days. In Alec's heart, many untimely emotions surged forth, obscure and incomprehensible. Finally, at a certain breaking point of his physical senses, he could no longer hold on. His neck arched high, his beautiful hair sweeping through the air in a graceful arc. The phoenix-sized spider let out a cry. Then, after its body remained rigid for several seconds, it finally collapsed weakly. In the center of the spiderweb, Lin Wan could sense that Alec's emotions had vanished. The spiderweb turned into ordinary spider silk. He used vines to violently tear these things apart. Finally, the dream shattered. Lin Wan withdrew his psychic energy, then aimed at the mark of Caesar in the mental landscape, and gave it a fierce lash. In reality, Caesar, who had already appeared, completely broken, suddenly regained the light in his eyes. He let out one last whimper, hugged his own body, and the sound of his rapid breathing echoed in the silent space. After a moment, he finally calmed down slightly. He slowly raised his head. Beneath his disheveled red hair were a pair of furious golden eyes. "You dare mess with me, you damn spider? I'm gonna stew you today." As soon as his words fell, the golden lion, having regained its senses, rapidly grew in size and spewed out blazing flames, instantly engulfed the entire scene. Nanyan used a psychic entity to protect herself and Lin Wan. As the flames burned, the scene finally quieted down. The electronic screen once again displayed the words, "Being a dog for the baby. The team has won." Lanyan retracted the jellyfish back to the spectator seats, finally able to see the situation inside again. Unfortunately, the match had already ended. What happened? How did it end already? The spectator seats were noisy and chaotic. Nan Yin and Kaiser accompanied Lin Wan off the field. Wait, a voice came from behind Alicni. He had clearly lost all his strength, yet he still stubbornly wanted to call out to Lin Wan. "Classmate, how about becoming my guide? You can lie on my chest muscles. Drink Andrew's honey." Before he could finish his words, he was punched again by an enraged Kaiser, knocking half his face crooked. My face Alicni covered his face, shouting in distress. "Kaiser, you actually dared to hit my face. This beast. I'm still a virgin. I haven't even mated with my Lin guide yet. You actually dared to hit my face." The words Lin guide and mate were like gunpowder, not only exploding Kaiser, but even Nan Yin, who is usually reserved in public, couldn't control herself either. Summoned the jellyfish again. Instantly, the entire competition venue, the lion jellyfish reappeared, against that barely hanging on psychic team of the opponent. I gave him a good beating. The warning from the tournament organizing committee came over the broadcast. Do not assume fighting postures outside of match times. Otherwise, you will be banned from the competition. These maniacs, not a single one of them is normal. Lin Wan naturally also heard Alec's words. He was so angry his face turned red. But in such a large public setting, he couldn't do anything either. He could only turn and leave angrily. Lin Wan found a seat and sat down, entering Alec's dream just now. It really did cost some mental energy, probably because it was his first time participating in a practically oriented competition of this nature. He felt somewhat tired. His level was still too weak. When encountering a powerful opponent, she could feel the disparity in strength between them. If it weren't for her psychic body skill being special, her bit of strength probably wouldn't even withstand one move from her opponent. During Lin Wan's rest period, Ayer's match also ended. She not only had healing, but also buffs. Her psychic level was high, too. So this battle was without suspense. After a round of competition, Ayer's popularity exploded to a new height. Positive comments about her soared like a praise flooded in from all sides, placing her on a near-godly pedestal. In contrast, Lin Wan's reputation plummeted straight down, already fallen into the dust. It was as if an invisible hand, intentionally or unintentionally, tightly bound these two people together. In her previous life, Lin Wan worked in entertainment-related fields. This method of belittling one person to exalt another is the easiest way to generate attention and discussion. And so, with no background and ability, she became the one pushed out as the sacrificial offering. If she guessed correctly, then in the upcoming matches, she should run into ire. Nan Yin's message also came through at the same time. The final competition schedule is out. Tomorrow afternoon we face Ire's team. Although Lin Wan had guessed as much, today's matches were still ongoing. Has the final match schedule been released yet? Across from her, Lan Yin seemed to let out a cold laugh. As long as the first match is won, the final outcome will emerge very soon. Don't underestimate the methods of these nobles. Justice always favors those in power. People like her, with no background whatsoever, are destined to become stepping stones for others on their path to success. Lin Wan slowly surveyed her surroundings, her gaze sweeping over those arrogant nobles. To these people, everything is about fame, profit, and wealth. They are the prey they compete to hunt. To obtain these, they wouldn't hesitate to climb over piles of people. In their perception, this is what's called the battlefield of survival. In the mutated Black Wolf's memories, Lin Wan had seen what the truly polluted zones were like. Those low-level sentinels, for just a little money, gave up their young lives. This world shouldn't be like this. By evening, the results of the second round advancement matches were all out. Lin Wan lay in bed, watching Ire's match videos from the past few days. It has to be said, though Ire has a bad temper, she really is a strong opponent. So far she has displayed two skills, one that restores HP, and one that restores MP. It's almost like a glitch-level existence. And she's still only a first-level guide. There are still many skills that haven't been used. Lin Wan looked at the lonely parasite in his skill bar and sighed helplessly. Boss, don't sigh. That little fat bird can take care of her in no time. Just grab her and give her a good spanking to settle her down. These vines are thinking way too easily. But there are still 9 sentinels. They will definitely choose a war of attrition. But a war of attrition is very disadvantageous for them. Lin Wan propped his chin on his hand, watched the video on the terminal, and fell into deep thought. And at this moment, the Duke of the Need family angrily threw an energy stone on the ground. That brat Chris Gia is really stubborn and won't listen to reason. Since that's the case, we don't need to hold back anything either. Is everything prepared? The newest drug is ready. It can, within a short period of time, enhance a sentinel's psychic level. And it won't show up in drug tests. Good, make those scum eat it. They're really getting off cheap. But Miss Ire, she is not willing. The few barely adequate level sentinels she found, how could they possibly be a match for Lan Yin and the others? If they won't take the medicine, force it down their throats even if they die. Our Need Duke family can't afford to lose face like this. Yes, your grace, the assistant bowed respectfully, and then set off overnight with his men. And at the entrance of the guide academy, Hudson leaned against the car. He looked toward his assistant. Guys, is everything ready? Yes, we have people stationed at every location. As soon as any prohibited series of actions are detected, they will be arrested immediately. Every year during the league matches, there are always some who resort to dirty tricks. Hudson's expression carried impatience and annoyance. This drug can temporarily boost psychic level, but long-term use accelerates the increase of pollution levels. After Guys finished speaking, he took out a small vial from his breast pocket and handed it to Hudson. Hudson took it, looking at the pale blue liquid inside the vial, and slightly narrowed his eyes. This was seized not long ago. We found that in certain types of drugs, genes from mutant species were also mixed in. Don't alert the enemy yet. Confiscate items that need confiscating. Arrest those who need arresting according to the law. Maintain the fairness and integrity of tomorrow's league matches. Guys nodded. After a long pause, he hesitated slightly, then added, regarding the recent hot topics, the incident that happened in Guideland's preparation hall. Naturally, Guys had also received the news. His elder sister had already blown up his phone, weeping about how her son had been publicly assaulted, and at the same time blaming him. Why did he let Reynolds associate with an ordinary terrestrial guide? Given the family's influence, it's not like I can't find someone better. These past 2 days, he has been subjected to endless crying, tantrums, and accusations from his family, tormented to the point of a splitting headache. His heart full of helplessness and bitterness. Lin Wan's difference. He understands it all too well from being by the director's side. But it involves classified information. He cannot explain clearly to his family. He can only rely on the convenience of his position to try and create some opportunities for the younger members of the clan. The clever ones have already caught the scent and have clung on like wolves and tigers. But the mediocre individuals, even if treasure is placed right before their eyes, they still think it's just an ordinary stone. Geez, did I not say? Not to interfere too much in Lin Wan's affairs. Watson's voice sounded faintly. Perhaps because the moonlight tonight was too bright. The man's voice also sounded full of chill. Jeese's heart skipped a beat. A layer of fine, cold sweat instantly broke out on his back. Sorry, director. I overstepped. The man said nothing more, turned and got into the car, The car slowly started, carrying away the man's stern aura into the distance, also taking with it the deadly pressure that had filled the surroundings. The competition on the third day. The pace was clearly much faster than the previous 2 days. Not sure if it is Lin Wan's illusion. She always felt that the atmosphere at the venue today had a kind of suffocating heat. On the screen, another team fell. A sentry has already been beaten unconscious by his opponent. But his opponent seems to have gone mad, his eyes blazing with madness, with no intention of stopping the violence at all. Seeing this, the referee immediately summoned guards to separate the two. The frenzied sentry was quickly restrained, taken away to check if he had taken any banned substances. As for this kind of situation, the referee seems to have already seen it all too often, completely unfazed. Later, some medical personnel entered the scene and took the injured sentry away as well. Only then did the people in the arena start whispering to each other. Next up, it was Lin Wan's turn. After making all her preparations in the lounge, she gave herself a pep talk, then walked out. Kaiser and Nanyin were already waiting for her. Nanyin gently took Lin Wan's hand, performed a noble bow. Nervous, Miss Lin? Don't be afraid, I could burn trash like that to ashes with a single flame. Kaiser also comforted Lin Wan on the side. Lin Wan glanced at Kaiser. The previous match had left him with some injuries. To be able to hold on and come to compete today, he must have put in quite some effort. Thinking of this, Lin Wan reached out and touched her fingertip to his forehead, channeled a thread of mental energy. Sorry, I'm still not very good at mental soothing. But after this match is over, I'll try harder for you. Upon hearing her words, the tall sentry, he clearly froze for a moment. Then a feeling of immense comfort continuously poured into his body. This sensation was gentle and warm, very much like the evening breeze brushing against his face, carrying a hint of coolness, and also like the tender, pure moonlight in the night sky, silently falling upon his heart, gradually soothing the slightly restless emotions deep within him. All right then. The usually easily irritated big cat unconsciously lowered his voice, obediently bent down, actively cooperating with the girl's movements. Spiritual energy infusion. At the same time, the final whistle sounded on the arena. The stadium erupted in intense cheers, amidst the chants of ire. In the roar of support, Lin Wan slowly walked onto the competition stage. Her opponent appeared at the same time. Ire, leading her team, looked at Lin Wan triumphantly. Today you'll finally have a proper match with me, right? Lin Wan was somewhat speechless. This girl. Could it be because of what she said last time about meeting in the arena? Or something like that? That she's trying so hard now. The vines all poked out their heads. Wow, this crazy girl is really intense today. Although her personality is a bit rough, I still quite like her. Stop talking nonsense. Do you sense anything strange? I don't know, but I feel like I touched it somewhere before. Listening to the voices of my companions, Lin Wan turned her gaze towards the 9 sentinels behind Ire. Apart from the 4, Black Bear, Warwolf, Sea Donking, and Wisteria, the others were just hastily assembled. Lin Wan's eyes scanned back and forth among the remaining 5 team members. But she didn't find the strange thing her companions mentioned. Could your feeling be wrong? I could still sense a faint trace of it just now. But now it's gone. Maybe the feeling really was mistaken. Right now, I just want to rest on big pecs and drink honey. Lin Wan was speechless. At that moment, the match officially began. Both teams revealed their mental entities. This time, as soon as Ire entered the field, she directly used an enhancement skill, boosting the mental power level by 30%. For the 4 highest ranked sentinels in the team, Wisteria vines burst from the ground, surrounding Lin Wan and the other 2 from all sides, forming a cage-like structure. Lanyan summoned a jellyfish, which violently shattered the cage. A leisurely sea breeze rose, carrying the immense pressure from a deep-sea behemoth, which intimidated everyone present. The Wisteria vines broke into segments. The female sentinel was also injured. Ire instantly cast a healing skill, immediately curing her injuries. And it was at this moment, between the necks of the Wisteria sentinels, flashed with purple light. On the surface of the severed spiritual body's knot, suddenly flowed out some deep purple juice. These juices splashed the jellyfish's countless tentacles. In no time, it all infiltrated. The opponent wore a toxic energy item, added extra attributes to the spiritual body. Lanyan frowned, timely separated a blue bubble from the jellyfish, enveloped all 3 of their own people. The Wisteria's venom was all blocked outside by the bubble. But Nanyan's spiritual body couldn't avoid it. Barely endured this wave of poison attack. After a while, Linyan saw. Lanyan's lips began to show an unusual bluish purple. Lin Wan thought for a moment, released a stream of mental power, wrapped around Lanyan's mark. Let the vines quietly suck up all that venom. This spiritual body isn't much good. Its only advantage is that it can eat. Besides, it has even eaten pollutants. Would it still be afraid of these poisons?